Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Everyone changes their job. Is the Deathsinger a rubbish job? Chapter 41. When Yishu returned to the base city and the supply station again. It was already a day later. Passing through the gate guarded by the military district, Yishu entered the supply station and cleaned up, took a shower, had a haircut, and then changed his clothes, and put his combat uniform into the storage space. After that, he had a full meal in the supply station. These days, he almost vomited from eating compressed food in the wilderness. Finally, he ate warm food again. After eating and drinking, Yishu prepared to take the train home. The train station outside the military district is always the most lively and crowded place. Countless people who come and go to the wilderness or go home gather here. Almost all the hunters and novice students in the entire Yanjing city will pass through here. The boiling and noisy sound spread. The long train slowly entered the station, and then the harsh sound of the train wheels braking sounded. As the train door opened, a large number of passengers called their friends and walked down in a line. I'm back, Base City is home. After more than half a month of wilderness travel, Yishu returned to Base City again, which made him feel at ease. After sitting on the train home, he dozed off for a while and arrived at the station. Listening to the horn's prompt, Yishu, dressed in casual clothes, walked out of the train door and smiled at the surroundings. It was so familiar. After getting off the train, Yishu stretched. Go home. After leaving the train station, he took several buses. When the sun set in the evening, Yishu returned to his community. The community is still as quiet as before. Yishu walked in the community and saw many residents in the community walking and chatting. In the square under the building, the old men and women were dancing in the square, leisurely. Opening the door, Grandpa was watching TV. Grandpa! Yishu shouted. Every time he came home, there would be someone waiting for him. This feeling was great. Shushu is back. Grandpa turned around, saw Yishu, put down the remote control in his hand, and smiled. Grandpa looked much better. It seemed that the things Yishu bought before were effective. Yishu secretly decided to buy a few more copies later. These days, Yishu often talked to Grandpa on the phone, so Grandpa was very confident in him. The next day, Yishu got up early in the morning. Today, he still had things to do. After having breakfast with Grandpa, Yishu cleaned up the house and left. In front of the Jufu building, a public car stopped, and many people got off one by one. Among them, Yishu was dressed in casual clothes. Coming to the Jufu building again, Yishu sighed slightly. It had been less than a month since he came here again. He had a lot of good things on him now, and the only thing he could eat was probably Jufu. After getting off the bus, Yishu did not stop, but went straight into the Jufu building. Yishu had just entered the Jufu building when a super beauty came towards him. Yishu smiled slightly. Su Qingmu. Before going to bed last night, Yishu sent her a message, saying that he would go back today to do a business, and then went to bed. When he woke up in the morning, Su Qingmu replied him with a smiley face. Welcome, welcome. Su Qingmu walked over and smiled at Yishu. Today, she is still in a professional suit, tall and beautiful. Su Qingmu, let alone other things, just this appearance, figure. Looking at the entire base city, she is also a rare beauty. People who pursue her can go around Yanjing Base City 3 times. Yishu looked at her, nodded, and smiled. President Su is very punctual. There is a big business, how could I miss it? Su Qingmu looked at Yishu and smiled. Her smile was really a smile that could conquer the city. Then, she looked at Yishu in surprise and said, is it my illusion? It's only been more than half a month since I last saw you. Mr. Yi has become much stronger, and his skin has become darker. Really? Yishu looked at himself and said, maybe my exercise in the past half month has some effect. Haha. Su Qingmu smiled, didn't ask, but said, since you contacted me, it means that you have good things to sell to my Jufu business. Yishu said, and said, otherwise, I wouldn't dare to disturb President Su. Mr. Yi is joking. Su Qingmu understood and said, please follow me. Yishu nodded and followed Su Qingmu into the elevator. The two took the elevator all the way up. On the top floor of the Jufu building, in a spacious and gorgeous VIP room. Yi Shu and Su Qingmu sat opposite each other. Mr. Yi, what do you have? Take it out and I'll identify it for you. Su Qingmu spoke first. Okay, Yi Shu didn't waste any words. Today, he came here for this matter. He poured out a lot of things from his storage space. He didn't stop until the glass coffee table in front of him was almost full. This is it. Looking at this pile of things, Su Qingmu opened her already big eyes. She glanced at it and saw a lot of good things. She was surprised and said, did you rob that material warehouse? Of course, she was joking. So many precious materials, that must be available only in large-scale businesses. She hadn't heard of anyone who dared to rob a large business. Yi Shu looked at Su Qingmu and smiled. Okay, let's not talk nonsense, can you take a look at these things? Su Qingmu looked at Yi Shu deeply. She thought highly of Yi Shu, but she didn't expect that she was still narrow-minded after all. Okay, Su Qingmu was serious, made a phone call, and started to call people. With so many things, she would take a long time to identify them by herself. After Su Qingmu hung up the phone, soon, 2 men and 2 women entered the VIP room. Among them was Wu Feng, who had helped Yi Shu apply for a black card last time. It seemed that this person was Su Qingmu's confidant. Mr. Yi. Wu Feng greeted Yi Shu. Yi Shu nodded and said, we meet again. Wu Feng smiled and said, I knew that Mr. Yi would bring good luck to our company. When he saw the pile of things on the coffee table, he was also surprised, and the other people were no exception, all with a stunned expression. Okay, let's identify it first. Su Qingmu said. Wu Feng nodded respectfully at Su Qingmu, took a deep breath, and looked at Yi Shu more. The others looked at Yi Shu sitting on the sofa in surprise, and then, at Su Qingmu's signal, they all started to identify. Su Qingmu was not idle either, and he also took action to check carefully. And Yi Shu sat there calmly, picked up a magazine beside him and started reading. Because he knew that it would take a certain amount of time to identify such a large pile of things. Fine steel bone, 3 tails. Fine steel bone, half a catty. Fine steel bone, 7 tails. Hard skin, half a catty. Hard skin, 1 catty and 2 tails. Hard skin, 3 catties. In the entire VIP room, the results of the appraisals kept ringing out, and someone was holding a laptop to record them. This is extraordinary fine steel bone, 6 tails. Wu Feng said in surprise as he picked up a piece of slightly transparent fine steel bone. Everyone looked up and saw that Wu Feng was holding a piece of slightly transparent fine steel bone in his hand. Let me see. Su Qingmu walked over and picked up the fine steel bone. She saw a flash of light in her eyes, like an electronic scanning device, scanning the entire bone completely. After a moment, she was surprised and said, This has reached the quality of 3rd-level materials. As she said that, she looked at Yi Shu. Even Art Jufu rarely receives this level of materials in a year. Yi Shu smiled slightly. He remembered this bone. It was extracted from the corpse of the leader of Aoquan. This is red gold bone. Not long after, someone else exclaimed. Yi Shu lazily lay on the sofa, watching them count. This time, the harvest was indeed not small. This is all thanks to his skill, death ingestion being powerful enough. If it were an ordinary person, it would be impossible to get so many good things in the green zone. After nearly 4 hours, a whole morning, they finally finished the inventory. Everyone who finished the inventory looked at Yi Shu with strange eyes. Even Wu Feng was no exception, although this was his 2nd time dealing with Yi Shu. But, Yi Shu once again refreshed his cognition. In his 20-year career, he has never done such a big business. Okay. Thank you all for your hard work. Finally, Su Qingmu looked at several people and said, this time the business is done, everyone will get dividends. Hearing this, several people looked at each other and showed joy. This is a big business, and the dividends can be quite a lot. Okay, everyone go back to your posts first, and then I will discuss it with Mr. Yi in detail. Okay, President Su, then we will go first. Go. I hope everyone will keep this matter confidential for the time being. Don't worry, President Su, we still understand the rules of this industry, and we will not talk about customer information casually. Su Qingmu nodded. These people are her confidants, and she is still very relieved. Several people left in a low voice. After everyone left, Su Qingmu sat down opposite Yishu with her laptop in her arms. She looked at Yishu, took a deep breath, and her full breasts trembled slightly, saying, "The total value of these things of yours is 973 million. Not to mention other people. Even for her, Su Qingmu, this is the first time she has done such a big business since joining Jufu. In the past, she had done business worth hundreds of millions. This is a business worth nearly 1 billion. If it succeeds, it will be the first time in her career that a business worth 1 billion has been completed. More than 900 million. Yishu smacked his lips. This was a fortune that he had never dared to imagine before. Now, even Su Qingmu was not calm. She looked at Yishu. Where did you get so many precious materials from? Yishu leaned on the sofa, smiled, and said, "Secret." Su Qingmu shook her head slightly. She knew that she was a little abrupt, but she really couldn't help it. "How do you plan to collect this money?" Su Qingmu asked. Yishu looked at Su Qingmu and said, "Just transfer this money to my black gold card." Su Qingmu nodded. Although she knew it would be like this, she still had to leave when she had to leave. After that, Su Qingmu picked up the computer and operated it for a while. In less than 5 minutes, Yishu received a text message. "Dear Black Gold Card user Mr. Yishu, your Black Gold Card number ends with 8662. On August 11th, at 12 hours 20 minutes and 17 seconds, 973 million Dragon Coins were transferred into your account. Your available balance is 1 billion Dragon Coins." 1 billion. Yishu couldn't help but feel his heart beating faster. This is a lot of money. Who would have thought that more than a month ago, he was still worried about living expenses? In just 1 month, he became a billionaire. With a net worth of 1 billion, he can definitely be considered a small rich man. Even Su Qingmu couldn't help but say, "Mr. Yi, how does it feel to earn 1 billion all of a sudden?" Yishu smiled. "It feels unreal, like a dream." Su Qingmu looked at Yishu and said, "With 1 billion assets, you are eligible to enter our Jufu Hidden Mall. I will send you the link to the Hidden Mall later, and you can enter it with your Black Gold Card account and password. There are good things for sale that you can't imagine." "Okay, thank you, President Su." Yishu nodded. "No, you helped me this time." Su Qingmu sighed and looked at Yishu deeply. In fact, in Jufu business, there is also a lot of competition. I don't know how many people are looking at her position. In fact, many people are not satisfied with her sitting in this position, thinking that she is too inexperienced, too young. In addition, she has not brought any big profits to the business since she took this position. Many people have begun to want to replace her. If she was not appointed by the Jufu headquarters, she would have been squeezed out long ago. Even so, there are still many people eyeing her position. This is also the reason why she, as the vice president, always wants to attract business. Now, if this business is done, let's see what those people have to say. She is confident that these materials can definitely bring several times the profit to the business. In fact, Yishu has something better, the dragon scale of the iron-armored earth dragon, which is also a third-level material. He also didn't take out the red material extracted from the corpse of the iron-armored earth dragon. That thing is a precious material that surpasses the third-level material. Now, Yishu doesn't want to take it out. After that, Yishu left the Jufu building. "Well, I have gained such a large fortune this time. After fighting in the wilderness for so long, I should reward myself. Let's buy a sports car. In the past, I wanted a sports car of my own, but in the past, I didn't have the capital. Now, with 1 billion in hand, I'm not worried, let's get one." Walking on the street, Yishu began to think. Finally, he made a decision and decided to buy a sports car to get around. Yishu strolled on the street. The trip to the wilderness for more than half a month really made his nerves a little tense. Now, he returned to the familiar base city again. Yishu also needed to relax. He walked comfortably on the street and strolled under the shade of the pedestrian street. Although he planned to buy a sports car, he was not in a hurry. After a simple inquiry, Yishu took a fancy to a Lamborghini FF 4396 with a market price of 75 million Dragon Coins. This is a very good-looking sports car. The entire body is made of super alloy. Bulletproof and waterproof are just basic. According to the introduction, monsters below level 30 cannot break the defense of this car. The most important thing is that this Lamborghini FF 4396 has a flying function. Although, for the sake of traffic and public security, the base city has expressly prohibited all flying cars from taking to the sky. All vehicles must drive on the ground. If they violate the rules, the traffic police of the base city have the right to shoot them down, and they will not be held responsible for anything. Therefore, no one dares to take this taboo and drive into the sky in the base city. But, you can still fly into the sky when you enter the wilderness area. Some powerful hunters who go deep into the wilderness have this kind of transportation. This is it. Yi Shu made a decision and bought it. In the future, he would not have to walk in and out of the wilderness area by himself. Finally, Yi Shu checked. Lamborghini, the nearest 4S store to him, is in a car dealership area in Yanjing City, west of the base city. There are many 4S stores of many brands here, including Mercedes-Benz, BMW and other famous brands, which also have stores here. Yi Shu took a taxi to the Lamborghini 4S store. Since there was a commercial street nearby, there were many people coming in and out of the 4S store at this time. Yi Shu got off the taxi and followed the signs on the road to the Lamborghini 4S store. Yi Shu entered the 4S store, but no one greeted him. The people in the store just glanced at him and went about their own business. First, Yi Shu was dressed too ordinary, and it was casual clothes from a miscellaneous brand. Second, Yi Shu was too young. So, everyone thought he didn't look like someone who could afford a Lamborghini. The people in the store thought he was someone who came to the store to look at cars, the kind of person who only looked but didn't buy, just to satisfy his curiosity. There are people like this every day. Yi Shu walked around by himself. "Sir, are you buying a car?" Just when Yi Shu bent down to look at a car, a crisp voice sounded. Yi Shu turned around and saw a woman standing behind him. She was a very beautiful woman. The white cheeks and curved eyebrows revealed a sense of weakness, long hair draped over her shoulders, a bohemian-style long skirt wrapped around her body, and a pair of sandals made her ankles more beautiful. This is a woman like flowing water. Yi Shu stood up and nodded. "Well, take a look." The woman smiled slightly and said softly, "This Lamborghini CCR 1002 is last year's model." Yi Shu listened to the woman's careful introduction and nodded from time to time. "Look, Li Xiaoxuan has started again." A woman in the store pouted towards Yi Shu and laughed softly. She was a woman wearing a yellow women's suit, with a 5-point appearance and a 6-point figure. She could barely be called a beauty. Hee, she is just too serious and doesn't look at people. How could that guy afford a Lamborghini? Beside her, a man in a suit holding a folder looked over here and shook his head helplessly. That's right, a kid who is less than 20 years old, wearing a street stall, dares to come in. The woman in the yellow women's suit leaned on the counter and said disdainfully. That's right. Behind the counter, another woman in a blue women's suit was speechless and shook her head. The woman in the yellow suit who spoke first said with a smile, "You don't know yet, it is said that Li Xiaoxuan's mother is seriously ill and in urgent need of money, so she is so unscrupulous. As long as it is a person, she will introduce him to someone. Isn't it just for commission? But this is too much, that student can't afford it at first glance, even the cheapest one, he can't afford it, right? That's right, we didn't kick him out, which means we have good quality." Yi Shu ignored the comments of these people. No matter in which world, there will always be people who look down on others. For such people, Yi Shu has nothing to say. Listening to Li Xiaoxuan's introduction, Yi Shu finally said, "Do you have Lamborghini FF 4396 here?" Li Xiaoxuan was slightly surprised, and then quickly recovered, with a soft smile, saying, "Yes, but the price is very expensive." "Did you hear it? He is asking about Lamborghini FF 4396. The woman in the yellow suit said with a smile. "Haha, I'm dying of laughter." The woman in the blue suit behind the counter echoed. "Xiaoxuan." Before Yi Shu could speak, a voice came from the side, "Have you thought about it?" Yi Shu turned around and saw a middle-aged man with a big belly. He walked over, looked at Yi Shu with disdain, and said, as long as you say yes, I will immediately order 3 Lamborghini CCD from you. It's Boss Huang, someone in the store whispered. Tisk tisk, Boss Huang is a famous big boss in our area. The woman in the yellow suit seemed to be a little jealous and said. The commission for 3 Lamborghini CCD alone is hundreds of thousands. Boss Huang has always wanted to support Li Xiaoxuan. It is said that he has opened up to 100,000 dragon coins a month, but Li Xiaoxuan just doesn't agree. If it were me, I would go home and enjoy it. Boss Huang doesn't like you. The woman in the blue suit teased. The woman in the yellow suit curled her lips. So what if she is pretty? I want to see how long Li Xiaoxuan can pretend to be noble. She just wants to raise the price by relying on her good looks. This way, Li Xiaoxuan's face changed slightly, and she looked at the middle-aged man and said, Boss Huang, if you come to order a car, I welcome you, but for other things, no deal. Hee hee. The middle-aged Boss Huang smiled sinisterly. Xiaoxuan, I heard that your mother's illness has become more serious recently. Do you want to watch your mother die of illness? You. Li Xiaoxuan gritted his teeth. The middle-aged man saw Li Xiaoxuan's face change, so he said, I can lend you 1 million, you can use it to save your mother, but you know the conditions. Li Xiaoxuan stood there, his face uncertain. Seeing this, the middle-aged man stepped forward and wanted to pull Li Xiaoxuan's hand. Miss Li, you haven't introduced Lamborghini FF 4396 to me yet. At this time, Yi Shu walked between them unnoticed, spoke again, and asked with a smile. Seeing his good fortune being blocked, the middle-aged man's face changed. He had been attracted to Li Xiaoxuan for a long time. Since he first saw Li Xiaoxuan in this store, he was attracted by her beauty. After that, he immediately began to pursue Li Xiaoxuan, although he already had a family. But, this Li Xiaoxuan was always unmoved. He spent a lot of thought and even used some tricks, and it seemed that there would be results. Unexpectedly, he was blocked by a small person who was obviously at the bottom of society, which made him furious. He looked at Yi Shu and said sternly, You little brat, you have nothing to do here, get out of here as far as you can. Swish. Yi Shu turned around, stared at him, and said, What did you say? Looking at Yi Shu's sharp eyes, for some reason, the middle-aged man's heart clicked, and he couldn't help but take a step back. He looked at Yi Shu and quickly calmed down. After all, he was overwhelmed by desire and said sternly, This is not a place for you to show off your ability. Show off your ability. I have no ability, and everyone looks like me. Yi Shu looked at it and curled his lips, took out a black gold card, handed it to Li Xiaoxuan, and said, Ms. Li, can you introduce me to it? If you introduce it well, maybe I will really buy it. That's it. The onlookers not far away saw Yi Shu took out the card and was shocked. Before, the woman in the yellow suit said in surprise, The black gold card of Jufu business. The woman in the blue suit also whispered, I heard that only when the transaction with Jufu reaches 10 million, can you apply for the black gold card of Jufu. This kid, is he really a big shot? The man also said, he couldn't help but wanted to come over. He heard the words of this seemingly young boy before. He seemed to want the Lamborghini FF 4396, which is a luxury car worth 75 million. If this is done, it will be a big order, and the commission alone will be millions. Even other people were a little uneasy. Even Li Xiaoxuan was a little surprised. In her opinion, Yi Shu was just a curious student, and the reason why she came to receive Yi Shu was just out of professional cultivation. Although she did not look down on Yi Shu, she knew very well that there were people in Yanjing City who had the capital to afford Lamborghini FF 4396. But Yi Shu was not in her impression in this circle. The middle-aged man with a big belly was stunned when he saw Yi Shu take out the black gold card, and then he was shocked. Could it be that he really made a mistake? But Yi Shu, no matter how he looked at him, he didn't recognize him. He knew everyone in the rich circle, but he had never seen Yi Shu, the rich second generation. In the end, he was sure that Yi Shu was definitely not the son of a rich man. He quickly calmed down, looked at Yi Shu, and said disdainfully, Kid, where did you pick up a black gold card? You dare to show off here, aren't you afraid of being beaten to death? Using someone else's black gold card is illegal and you will go to jail. He said sarcastically, Don't send yourself to jail just for showing off. After hearing what Boss Huang said, the others looked at each other and reacted. Yes, this kid doesn't look like someone who has a black gold card. Could it be that, as Boss Huang said, he picked it up? At this moment, everyone's faces were uncertain. Yi Shu ignored the so-called Boss Huang, but looked at Li Xiaoxuan, smiled, and said, "Why, Miss Li doesn't want to introduce me?" Li Xiaoxuan was stunned for a moment, but still said, "Of course not." Then, she sorted out her thoughts, lifted her hair in front of her forehead, stood beside Yi Shu, and said, "Lamborghini FF 4396 as a high-performance flying sports car that Lamborghini launched this year. Quote, it uses top-grade alloy materials to build the body, which can defend against monsters below level 30, and the interior is equipped with a top-grade protection system. Quote, its maximum speed is 900 kilometers, and it only takes 1.02 seconds to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers. It uses the most advanced super energy reactor to drive, and it can run for 3 years after filling up with energy liquid. Of course, it is also one of the few cars that can fly so far. Its maximum flying height is 50 meters. Seeing Li Xiaoxuan patiently introducing it to Yi Shu, the middle-aged man's face became more and more ugly. Li Xiaoxuan ignored him, and this kid also ignored him. He was angry. He didn't think Yi Shu really had the capital to buy the Lamborghini FF 4396. Let alone a little kid like him. Even if he was Huang San, who had a net worth of over 100 million, he wouldn't dare to ask for this car. The car alone cost 75 million, and the subsequent driving energy fluid, maintenance, and taxes are still a large expense, and the actual consumption is over 100 million. If you want this car, you must have a net worth of at least 300 million to afford it. HMPH, pretend, I'll see how long you can pretend. Huang San looked at Yi Shu coldly, thinking to himself, when he can't afford it, it's time for me to step in. At that time, I will humiliate him. And Li Xiaoxuan, shameless, wait, I want her to kneel down and beg me, and then slowly train her. Huang San roared in his heart, and he had already started to YY Li Xiaoxuan. When Li Xiaoxuan finished the introduction, Yi Shu nodded and said, well, it's good, it's really a good car. Li Xiaoxuan looked at Yi Shu, and finally smiled and said, this car is ranked among the best in the world. Obviously, even she didn't believe that Yi Shu could afford this car. Little ghost, I've finished the introduction, shouldn't you pay for it? Huang San stood up and said indifferently, his tone full of sarcasm. Even the other people in the store smiled at each other, waiting for Yi Shu to make a fool of himself. Little brother, Li Xiaoxuan looked at Yi Shu and said helplessly, okay, sister has finished introducing you, it's time to satisfy your curiosity, go somewhere else to play. Yi Shu smiled helplessly and handed the black gold card in his hand to Li Xiaoxuan. Okay, since you call me brother, then I will call you sister. So many people are watching my sister make a fool of herself. As a brother, I will not agree. Li Xiaoxuan was a little speechless and said, little brother, you also know that they are waiting to see my sister make a fool of herself. Then brother, you should buy it even more. Yi Shu chuckled. You, Li Xiaoxuan rolled his eyes at Yi Shu, looking a little coquettish, and said, come again. Xiaoxuan, since they want to buy it, how can you not agree? Huang San said sarcastically, this is done, you don't have to worry about your mother's medical expenses, right, and you don't have to ask me, Huang, for help. When did I say I asked you? Li Xiaoxuan said with a pale face and gritted his teeth. Hee. Huang San saw that Li Xiaoxuan was in trouble and approached Li Xiaoxuan again, as long as you. Yi Shu stepped across and blocked them again, because the distance between them was too close. This time, Yi Shu stood between them, and he was very close to Li Xiaoxuan, almost sticking to Li Xiaoxuan's chest, and could feel Li Xiaoxuan's breath. Smelling Li Xiaoxuan's fragrant hair, Yi Shu took a step back and blocked Huang San. Sister, bring the contract. Yi Shu spoke directly. Do you really want to buy it? Li Xiaoxuan looked at Yi Shu, stunned. Yi Shu nodded and smiled. Sister, do you think I look fake? Bring me the contract. Li Xiaoxuan hesitated a little. Huang San looked at Yi Shu coldly. Hey, Xiaoxuan, since he has made up his mind, why don't you bring the contract? This is a big deal. He didn't believe that Yishu could come up with the money to buy Lamborghini FF 4396. 75 million, not 7,500 yuan. Pretend, when you can't come up with the money after signing the contract, I'll see what you will do. I don't think you can even come up with the penalty for breach of contract, right? When that happens, I will help the 4S store call the police. Huang-san thought viciously. Sister, what are you wasting time on? My time is precious. Okay. Under Yishu's repeated urging, Li Xiaoxuan could only go and get a purchase contract for the Lamborghini FF 4396. Yishu looked through the contract, confirmed that there was no problem, and signed it. Yishu handed the black gold card in her hand to Li Xiaoxuan and said, "Sister, go ahead and swipe it. After you're done, help me pick a car." Li Xiaoxuan took Yishu's black gold card and glanced at Yishu. Yishu was always calm, and that calmness and confidence were definitely not fake. Li Xiaoxuan opened her mouth, but in the end she didn't say anything to persuade him. She turned around and swiped the card at the counter. And everyone else looked at Yishu coldly. They didn't believe that Yishu could afford a luxury car like the Lamborghini FF 4396. Especially Huang-san. Once Yishu's card couldn't be swiped, he would humiliate Yishu mercilessly. He was just waiting for Yishu to make a fool of himself. Ding. When Li Xiaoxuan completed the operation on the payment machine and swiped Yishu's black gold card, Yishu confirmed it on his communication device. Immediately, a series of prompts sounded on the machine. Congratulations, the payment was successful. The payment amount, 75 million dragon coins. Thank you for your patronage. Welcome to visit next time. Zzz. Then, the machine printed out the consumption bill. Silence. At this moment, the entire 4S store was extremely quiet. Finally, it was Yishu who broke the silence first and said to Li Xiaoxuan not far away, "By the way, sister, I personally like blue. Can you help me choose? Not too dark, light blue." Okay. Li Xiaoxuan also reacted and agreed quickly. She never thought that Yishu would actually pay the money. The most important thing is that he paid. This is a big order of 75 million. If this business is done, the commission alone will be enough for her mother's medical expenses, and she may not even use it up. When Yishu sat in the light blue Lamborghini FF 4396, the others were still a little confused. And Huang-san's face was even uglier, as if he had eaten half a pound of shit. Yishu didn't even look at Huang-san. In Huang-san's view, this made him feel more uncomfortable than humiliating him in person. At this moment, even the manager of this 4S store came out to warmly entertain Yishu, asking about her well-being, serving tea and water. Originally, he was supposed to pay for such a large order, but no one believed that Yishu could pay the money. So, Li Xiaoxuan acted boldly. She thought that even if Yishu couldn't pay, she could still negotiate. "Sister, how about going for a test drive with me?" Yishu, who was sitting in the car, smiled at Li Xiaoxuan. Of course. Before Li Xiaoxuan could speak, the somewhat fat manager agreed first. "This is what our 4S store should do, and we must satisfy customers." As he said that, he winked at Li Xiaoxuan. Li Xiaoxuan smiled and nodded. Okay. As he said that, Li Xiaoxuan opened the passenger door and sat on it. Buzz. After the sports car started, it rushed out in an instant and disappeared at the intersection. The 4S store manager was all smiles. If this deal was done, not only Li Xiaoxuan, but also he could benefit from it. And the other people in the store had an extremely ugly look on their faces. After all, they missed out on millions of dividends. On the other side, Yishu took Li Xiaoxuan and shuttled through the streets of the city at lightning speed. Lamborghini FF 4396, as a top sports car, it must have an automatic driving function. After extracting Yishu's fingerprints and sound waves, this car has basically been considered to be recognized. Yishu can operate it with voice. Yishu also gave his Lamborghini FF 4396 a name, called Bumblebee. Although it is blue in color. Bumblebee, turn around at will. Yes, master. Yishu lay on the leather seat, just like sitting on the sofa at home, without any bumps, quite comfortable. Li Xiaoxuan was looking outside the car, His eyes were a little dull. Yi Shu held his hands behind his head and leaned on the car, very comfortable. He glanced at Li Xiaoxuan and said, "Sister, are you worried?" Li Xiaoxuan came back to his senses and smiled. "No, sister just completed a big order, and I haven't reacted yet." Yi Shu leaned on the seat, squinting his eyes, enjoying it very much. After a while, Yi Shu said, "Li Xiaoxuan, I remember this name. 3 years ago, our 9th God of War High School awakened the Dragon Master profession again. It was sister, right? You." Li Xiaoxuan turned his head and looked at Yi Shu, looking very surprised. Not many people can remember this now. And Yi Shu continued, "I also saw it in the student record book. I just saw that sister looked familiar. I didn't expect it to be true. It is said that sister disappeared after awakening Dragon Tamer. Sister may not know yet. I also graduated from the 9th War God High School and just completed awakening. Speaking of which, I really have to call you senior sister." Li Xiaoxuan took a deep look at Yi Shu. Her awakening Dragon Tamer was not a secret. It was just forgotten. After all, Dragon Tamer is a notoriously useless profession. Who would care? Li Xiaoxuan sighed helplessly. Dragon Tamer. Hee. Dragon Tamer without a dragon. Yi Shu turned around and looked at Li Xiaoxuan, who was clenching her teeth and looking unwilling, and said, "Sister, have you never thought about changing? Could it be that sister is willing to accept her fate?" "Change?" Li Xiaoxuan sighed lightly and said dejectedly, "How to change? Dragon Tamer without a natal dragon can't even upgrade the level, and is not even as good as an auxiliary profession. No, it should be not even as good as a life profession. Dragon Tamer without a dragon is just a joke. Senior sister, have you ever thought about finding a dragon?" Yi Shu said. "Dragon? I'm a little girl, where can I find a dragon like that?" Li Xiaoxuan pinched the corner of her clothes. "Even Lord Hong Tian can't subdue the dragon, what can I do?" Then, she smiled helplessly. "Forget it, let's not talk about me, let's talk about you. How was the car test? If there is no problem, take sister to a place by the way." "Senior." Yi Shu looked at Li Xiaoxuan with a smile, not paying attention to her words, but said, "What if, I say, I can help you get a dragon?" Swish. Li Xiaoxuan suddenly turned her head to look at Yi Shu, her pupils shrank. Then, she shook her head and murmured, "No. Impossible. No one can subdue a dragon. Even Lord Hong Tian failed." Yi Shu stood up, looked at Li Xiaoxuan, and said, "For others, it may be impossible, but for me, it is nothing." Snap. Yi Shu snapped his fingers and said, "Pikachu, come out." Li Xiaoxuan's dark face moved slightly. Buzz. The next moment, a magic circle flashed in front of Yi Shu, and something flew out of it. It was a blue creature that looked like a hamster. It had a pair of small wings on its back, and there was electricity flashing all over its body. Li Xiaoxuan looked at the little beast in front of Yi Shu, observed it carefully, and then said in surprise, Is this the legendary Thunder Beast? You have good eyes. Yes, this little guy is the Thunder Beast." Yi Shu stretched out his hand. Squeak. The little Thunder Beast Pikachu flew into Yi Shu's palm, rubbing Yi Shu's wrist intimately, with lightning flashing on its body, but it did not cause any harm to Yi Shu. "Pet." Li Xiaoxuan widened his already large eyes and said, You have captured the Thunder Beast as a pet. I don't know how many years it has been since I captured a pet of this level. The Thunder Beast, known as the darling of thunder and lightning, is even the dream pet of the 2nd generation of the top chables. It is completely out of stock." "That's right." Yi Shu shook his wrist, and the little Thunder Beast flew up, and then landed on the dashboard, lying there, round and cute. Yi Shu turned back and looked at Li Xiaoxuan. "How is it? Do you believe in my ability?" Li Xiaoxuan's face was full of doubts, and finally, he shook his head helplessly. "Even if you can get the Thunder Beast. Although the Thunder Beast is also rare and expensive. The value of the Thunder Beast can only be measured in billions, but the Thunder Beast finally has a price. But the dragon is priceless. Not to mention the distant past, no one has ever subdued a dragon in the past 100 years. Senior sister, you can't be so decisive." Yi Shu waved her fingers and said, "Believe me, since I can get the Thunder Beast, then I can get the dragon." Li Xiaoxuan's heart trembled. She looked at Yi Shu and asked, "Who are you? What is your purpose?" Yi Shu leaned back in the chair and said leisurely, me. Just one of your juniors. Moreover, my identity is not difficult to check. If you are interested, you can check it. As for the purpose, now, you just need to tell me whether you want a dragon or not. Li Xiaoxuan opened his mouth. Yi Shu glanced at her and said, Senior sister, you'd better think it through before answering me. Li Xiaoxuan hesitated for a moment, sighed, and said, if I can, of course I want it. If I can, how can I? But That's enough. Yi Shu interrupted Li Xiaoxuan. Li Xiaoxuan looked at Yi Shu. What do you want? Even if you can get the dragon, you can't give it to me for no reason, right? Yi Shu narrowed his eyes slightly and said, I want to form a team of my own, and in the future, I will gallop across this world. Explore ancient places, go down dangerous places, break into restricted areas, and explore the secrets of ancient civilizations. So, I need a team of my own, a team that belongs entirely to me. Yi Shu looked at Li Xiaoxuan. Senior sister, are you interested in joining me to create such a team? Li Xiaoxuan looked at Yi Shu in shock. This seemingly immature boy has such great ambitions. After saying that, Yi Shu looked at Li Xiaoxuan. This world can't imprison me. Looking at Yi Shu's eyes, Li Xiaoxuan's breathing stagnated. At this moment, Yi Shu's eyes were bottomless, like the vast starry sky. Hee. Soon, Yi Shu turned around, restored his unruly look, and said with a smile, of course, I won't force you, the choice is yours. If you refuse, I will never bother you again. Is it to carry the reputation of dragon tamer and disappear among the crowd, or follow me, get the dragon and shine, let the world see the real dragon tamer and walk with me to another future path? It's all up to you. Silence, then, the whole car was silent. After 10 minutes, Li Xiaoxuan turned around and looked at Yi Shu. If you can really get me a dragon, I am willing to join your team. Smart choice. Yi Shu smiled. You won't regret this decision. Li Xiaoxuan looked deeply at Yi Shu. Yi Shu glanced at it. Dragon. I hope you won't let me down. Yi Shu smiled faintly. His first goal, done. This was not something Yi Shu came up with on a whim, but something he had planned long ago. A few days ago, when he was in the wilderness, he started thinking about this matter. With the system, how could he be content with being ordinary? He had to build his own power so that he could truly stand on top of this world in the future. In addition, Yi Shu's biggest ambition was to find a passage or a door in this world, a passage that could lead him back to that blue planet. There were people he cared about in that world, too. He chose Li Xiaoxuan because of her ability. Dragon tamer, one of the 3 major dragon professions. Some people speculated that once a giant dragon was obtained, this profession might be the strongest profession. She was definitely qualified to be his teammate. So, Yi Shu decided to invest in her. Finally, Yi Shu sent Li Xiaoxuan to the hospital where her mother was staying. Then, he transferred 5 million to her, asking her to completely cure her mother during this period of time, so that she would not have to worry about the future. Afterwards, Yi Shu told her that he would come to see her in 3 months at the least and half a year at the most. Whether he could bring her a dragon would be the next time they met. The reason why Yi Shu was so confident was because he had a system. As long as he had the golden egg system in hand, he still didn't believe that he couldn't smash out a dragon egg. Even thunder beast eggs could be smashed out, and they were smashed out of 2-star eggs. Dragon eggs were only a matter of time. Yi Shu was not afraid of Li Xiaoxuan's high secret. He didn't really take out the dragon, and what he said now was just talk nonsense. Even if she said it out, no one would believe it. However, Yi Shu believed that she would not be so stupid. Next, for several days in a row, Yi Shu stayed at home, preparing for the cultural exam. When he was free, he would push his grandfather downstairs to go for a walk and let his grandfather stretch his muscles. He also took his grandfather to the hospital for the best examination and bought a lot of expensive medicines. He wanted his grandfather to get better first, so that he could withstand the power of the dragon blood potion. Now, he is not short of money, so he can spend it as much as he wants. When his grandfather first rode the bumblebee, he was also shocked. When he learned that Yi Shu bought it on his own, he was also quite relieved. Yi Shu drove his bumblebee in the community and made a lot of jokes. In the community, Several girls stood by him in front of the sports car all day. The exam first relies on cultural knowledge, and then on practical ability. These two exams are also called the literary exam and the martial arts exam. If you want to enter a higher education institution, especially a top institution like Shenlong Academy, both are indispensable. Yi Shu is not worried about the actual combat, that is, the martial arts exam. He is very confident now. As for the literary exam, Yi Shu is not so sure. Although his cultural and academic knowledge is okay, it is just okay. It has not reached the top level yet. So, Yi Shu has to prepare in the shortest time to consolidate his cultural knowledge. For this reason, he also bought a most advanced tutoring machine, which includes all cultural knowledge. These days, Yi Shu is silent all day long. Now he has extraordinary mental power and strong learning ability, and he can almost remember everything he sees. Time passes quietly. Soon, it's the day of the big exam. All the students have returned to school. The big exam is extremely important to everyone. The results of the big exam determine the future direction. Everyone attaches great importance to this big exam. Even for those who have awakened ordinary professions, the cultural exam is their second chance. When Yi Shu returned to the familiar classroom again, he saw Chen Fei surrounded by people at a glance. Chen Fei seemed a little tired to deal with it, he was not good at socializing. But he had no choice, he was now the most popular person in their class. After awakening a rare profession, his future can be said to be bright, and there will naturally be many people who flatter him. After not seeing each other for a month, Chen Fei has lost weight, become stronger, and darker. Brother Shu. When he saw Yi Shu walk into the classroom, he squeezed out of the crowd and ran to Yi Shu excitedly. Everyone knew the relationship between Chen Fei and Yi Shu, and after glancing at Yi Shu, they didn't bother them. After all, if they wanted to be friends with Chen Fei, they couldn't make him disgusted. Good boy, you've become stronger. Yi Shu looked at Chen Fei in front of him and smiled. Brother Shu. Chen Fei ran to Yi Shu with a crying voice. You don't know what I have suffered this month. Every day I either practice physical training, fight monsters, run. Look, I've lost weight. Yi Shu hit his shoulder. This is a good thing, look at you, you are so weak, it's a good thing to exercise well, turn your fat into muscle, you are also a tough guy. Hee. Chen Fei scratched his head and said, Brother Shu, let's not talk about me, how are you? Yi Shu smiled slightly and walked back to his seat. What else can I do, the same as always, eat and drink. Brother Shu. Chen Fei looked at Yi Shu for a long time and whispered, why do I feel that you are different? What's different? Yi Shu looked at him. Chen Fei thought for a moment, stared at Yi Shu and said, it's different, Brother Shu, I heard about your story, I don't believe that your profession is a low-level profession. It must be that they haven't discovered the characteristics of your profession. This is a brand new profession that has appeared for the first time. They can't define it for you randomly. At least they have to train you comprehensively and launch a series of attempts. Why do they define such a profession for you? Yi Shu couldn't help but look at him more. This kid is smart to have this idea. Although there is a concern for him, he is right. Finally, Chen Fei looked at Yi Shu and said, Brother Shu, how about I go back and talk to my teacher and let you enter our college? This kid. Yi Shu was a little touched in his heart. He still has such a friend. There are not many people who will think about him. Yi Shu smiled and said, don't worry about me, I have my own way. You kid, practice well. In the future, we brothers will go through it together. Brother Shu, you. Chen Fei hesitated for a moment, he looked at Yi Shu and said, Brother Shu, how about I go back and talk to my teacher and let you enter our college? This kid. Yi Shu was a little touched in his heart. He still has such a friend. There are not many people who will think about him. Yi Shu smiled and said, don't worry about me, I have my own way. You kid, practice well. In the future, we brothers will go through it together. Brother Shu, you. Chen Fei hesitated for a moment, he looked at Yi Shu, heard something in his words, and then seemed to react. Brother Shu, you, could it be? Yi Shu nodded lightly and said, my profession is indeed not as simple as it seems. These days, I have researched some things. I knew it. Chen Fei laughed, looking very happy. Just then, a person walked to the side of Yishu and snorted coldly. Yishu turned his head and saw a girl who was a beauty who came to him without knowing when. Her proud 36D breasts were dazzling. Yishu laughed and said, "Haha, isn't this classmate Chen Yanyi? What's the matter? Why are you so angry? What's the matter?" Chen Yanyi looked at Yishu angrily. You have the nerve to say it. You clearly promised to take me with you, but you ran away. Do you really want to go?" Yishu smiled and said, "I thought you were just joking." Chen Yanyi raised her butt and sat on Yishu's desk with her arms around her. She said angrily, "Who is joking with you? I was ready and waited for you to call me, but you ran away and turned off the communicator. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" Okay. Yishu held his hands behind his head, leaned back in the chair, and said with a smile, "At most, after the exam, I will take you for a ride." Ride? Chen Yanyi blinked her big eyes and said, "Do you have a car?" Bicycle. Yishu pouted his lips in displeasure and said, "No." HMPH. Chen Yanyi smiled lightly. "Okay, then let's make a deal, you can't lie to me this time." "Okay." Yishu laughed. "Wow." Chen Fei opened his mouth wide and said, "Brother Shu, when did you become so nice?" "We have always been nice." Chen Yanyi glanced at Chen Fei. "Do you have any objections?" Chen Fei shrank his neck. "Don't dare." Chen Yanyi was famous for her fierceness, and he didn't want to offend her. Just as Yishu and his friends were playing in groups, talking about what happened this month. In just 1 month, not only Chen Fei, who had undergone special training, but also Chen Yanyi had reached level 10. They all had the qualification to take the first turn. They were all waiting for the end of the literary examination to take the first turn together. Ahem. Just then, the head teacher of their class, Mr. Zhang, walked into the classroom with a pile of materials. Seeing his group of students again, Mr. Zhang couldn't help but smile. This time, he was also famous. There were 3 rare professions and 1 hidden profession in their class, which made him feel very proud. He was even commended by the Education Bureau. Although the hidden profession in their class was a bit lacking, it did not hinder his reputation as a good teacher. In general, he was quite satisfied. Then, with enthusiasm and a smile, he came to the podium and said to everyone, "Dear students, be quiet and listen to me. The head teacher is here." Listen to the head teacher. Everyone stop making noise. Seeing the attitude of everyone, the head teacher, Mr. Zhang, was also quite pleased. Even though they graduated and awakened their professions, they still respected him, which made him feel that his efforts to teach them were not in vain. He put down the materials in his hand, adjusted his glasses, looked at the students below, and said with a smile, "Dear students, I have said countless times about the importance of the big exam. It is related to your future. No matter what profession you are in, you need to go to a good university. In this way, you will have more choices in the future." I guess you are tired of hearing these words, so I won't go into details. Today is the day of the literary exam. Don't underestimate the literary exam. It is very important for you. I know that many of you don't care about the literary exam and are preparing for the martial arts exam. This is wrong. The martial arts exam is the basis for your future, but you can't be careless about the literary exam. Top universities all look at the literary exam results. If the literary exam results are too poor, the martial arts exam scores will also be lowered. Everyone should work hard today. As your class teacher, I sincerely hope that everyone here can get a good score. In short, everyone, work hard. Now, I will distribute your exam numbers. In a while, everyone can go to the exam building and enter the classroom according to your exam number to start the exam. My last reminder is that you must not cheat in this exam. Once you are caught, you will lose the qualification to go to college. No university will admit cheating students. After a few more reminders, they distributed their exam number cards. Yishu's class left the classroom and came to the building dedicated to the literary exam. At this time, many people had gathered in front of the literary exam building. This is an independent building, dedicated to the literary exam, and it is only opened at this time every year. Every class and everyone will be shuffled and randomly assigned to the exam room. Brother Shu, what's your number? Chen Fei walked in the corridor with Yishu. Yishu looked at the number card in his hand. 3rd floor, classroom number 7, table no. 13. Ah, Brother Shu, I'm on the 7th floor, classroom number 16, table number 20, it seems that we can't take the exam together. Chen Fei shouted. You kid, you can't cheat in this exam, so what can we do together? Okay, go take the exam, and gather after the exam. Yi Shu smiled. Okay, I'm on the 7th floor, I'll go first. Go. The literary exam officially begins. Yi Shu also followed his number and went to find his own exam room. Dang dang dang. Finally, 3 hours of the written exam passed, and the bell rang in the clock tower. It also announced that this written exam was officially over. Yi Shu, who had been answering questions for a while, stood up and stretched. Looking at the computer in front of him, Yi Shu smiled affectionately, and then clicked Submit. Buzz. After submitting, his computer automatically shut down. This written exam was officially over. Half an hour later, the results will be announced. How is it? How is it? Soon, Yi Shu and Chen Fei met up, and Chen Fei looked at Yi Shu excitedly and asked. At this time, the two of them were sitting on a bench at the edge of the square under the building. After taking the written exam, everyone will gather here to wait for the results of the big exam. At this moment, the square was also very lively. Some were playing basketball, some were chatting, some were discussing the exam content, and some were planning for the future. It was so lively. Yi Shu listened to Chen Fei's words, put his hands behind his head, leaned on the bench, basked in the sun, and smiled comfortably. It's okay, so, how about you? Hee hee. Chen Fei smiled innocently when talking about himself, and said, I feel I'm okay, I can't say anything else, I should be able to pass. That's good, if you can pass, and cooperate with your career, your future is bright. Haha, Brother Shu, don't tease me, which college did you apply for? Me. Just when Yi Shu and the others were talking, a pretty figure appeared in front of Yi Shu and the others. Yi Shu looked up and said, Hi, Lin Ran, long time no see. Lin Ran, really beautiful. Today, she is not wearing a school uniform. Her shoulder-length hair flutters in the breeze. She has a fair face, very beautiful eyes that are clear and bright, red lips that are shiny, and a pretty and sweet face. If she makes her debut, she will definitely be called a pure and innocent girl. Today, she was wearing a plain white shirt, with the first button of the shirt unbuttoned, the collar was open, revealing her collarbone, her skin was white and crystal clear, and she was wearing casual trousers, which was quite casual. Her graceful figure was even more graceful than a month ago. She was really a rare beauty. Countless students, seeing Lin Ran, forgot what they were doing just now and what they wanted to do next. Look, it's Lin Ran. Wow, after not seeing her for a month, the goddess is more beautiful, has a better figure, and a more beautiful face. Needless to say, this is one of our 3 school beauties. How about we go and chat her up? We are all about to graduate. If we don't chat her up, we will have no chance. If you want to go, you go. I don't dare. Coward. If you are not cowardly, then you go. I don't dare either. The goddess has such a strong aura. I dare not say a word in front of her. Tisk. The crowd booed in a row. Yi Shu looked at Lin Ran and smiled. Well, I found that they are right about one thing. I haven't seen you for a month, and you are more beautiful, haha. Lin Ran blushed slightly and said, You are not serious. By the way, how are you? Me. Yi Shu smiled and said, Don't worry, I'm fine, and I enjoy everything I eat. Lin Ran sighed and said, You know, I'm not talking about this, rumors, your profession. Yi Shu stretched his body and said, Don't worry, rumors are not credible. Lin Ran looked at Yi Shu, she sat down next to Yi Shu, and then said softly, I saw your performance in the novice area. Your profession is definitely not as simple as it looks, right? Oh, Yi Shu looked at her with a smile and said, What do you feel? Lin Ran pondered for a moment, did not answer Yi Shu's words, but said, You also want to go to Shenlong College, right? Yi Shu nodded. Who among our Dragon Country students does not want to go to Shenlong College for further studies? I am no exception, of course I want to go. Well, is your profession really a summoning profession? Lin Ran asked. Yi Shu nodded, did not avoid the question, but said, I guess so. Hearing this, Lin Ran pursed her lips and smiled, okay. Then, she stopped asking questions, but sat quietly beside Yi Shu. Yi Shu smelled Lin Ran's hair fragrance and closed his eyes. At this moment, he felt particularly comfortable and relaxed. I'm leaving. After a moment, Lin Ran stood up and looked back at Yi Shu. Yi Shu also stood up, and he looked at Lin Ran. Where are you going? Aren't you going to take the martial arts exam? Yi Shu knew that when she said leaving, she might be leaving Yanjing City. I will wait for you at Shenlong Academy. Lin Ran looked at Yi Shu, smiled faintly, and was so beautiful. After that, she looked at Chen Fei, smiled slightly, and said, Chen Fei, you should also work hard, don't bury such a good career of yours. Chen Fei nodded quickly. Don't worry, Sister Ran, I will work hard. Then, Lin Ran looked at Yi Shu deeply and said, Yi Shu, work hard, if you. Speaking of this, Lin Ran sighed softly, and finally didn't finish. Lin Ran left directly. Lin Ran, what did you say if? Yi Shu asked, looking at Lin Ran who was going away. Hey, finish your words. Look, Lin Ran is gone. I've heard that Lin Ran and Yi Shu have a special relationship, but now it seems that there is nothing. Do you think that Goddess Lin is making fun of Yi Shu? I think it's possible. Now that they've graduated, Goddess Lin must have made it clear. That makes sense. Look at how lonely Yi Shu looks. Bah, he's just a toad wanting to eat swan meat. Why does he get so close to the goddess? That's not true. If his profession is really powerful, he still has a chance. It's a hidden profession that's 1 in a million. It's a pity that it's a useless profession in Death Chanter. It's not, it's just a useless profession. Many people know about Yi Shu and Lin Ran. Seeing that Yi Shu and Lin Ran are so close, many people are envious and jealous, but there's nothing they can do. Now, Lin Ran leaves alone. At this moment, there are all kinds of things to say. Yi Shu stood there, staring blankly at Lin Ran's back as he left. His intuition told him that Lin Ran was hiding something from him. But he didn't know what it was. Lin Ran must have wanted to say something just now, but didn't say it. Brother Shu, wake up. Brother Shu. Fade Chen patted Yi Shu hard. Yi Shu was stunned and said, what did you say? Fade Chen shook his head and said, Sister Ran has left. Yi Shu came back to his senses and scratched his head. Yeah. Brother Shu, did Sister Ran have something to say just now? I don't know. Brother Shu, you are so stupid. Why didn't you ask directly just now? I could see that Sister Ran had something to say, but you didn't know. Don't you really understand Sister Ran's thoughts? Yi Shu sat down on the chair dejectedly. At this moment, he felt that his mind was a little confused. Not long after, the results of the final exam were announced. Everyone went to the big screen in front of the building to watch and find their names. Wow, look, the top 3 in our school's literary exam this year all got full marks, which is rare in previous years. Tisk tisk, this time, our school will be famous. 3 top scorers in the literary exam, haha, we will also have a bright face. Lu Yuan, Bai Weiwei, and Yi Shu. Yi Shu, is that Yi Shu who awakened the inferior profession, Death Chanter? It's a pity to waste such good cultural knowledge. Do you think Death Chanter is really a secondary profession? The principal has spoken, how can it be false? If it is really such a great hidden profession, do you think he will still be here? That's right, don't say Yi Shu, Lu Yuan and Bai Weiwei, all of them have awakened rare professions. With the scores of the literature exam, they all have the qualifications to apply for Shenlong Academy, right? Quote, Shenlong Academy, I dream of going there. Forget it, you have awakened the profession of chef, forget it. The top 3 in the literature exam all got full marks. Among them was Yi Shu's name, which also caused a lot of discussion. Yi Shu himself didn't care much, it was expected. Anyway, he is the real champion of the literature exam in Yanjing City. Soon, the loudspeaker sounded again. Dear students, the literary exam is over. After checking your scores, please leave as soon as possible and do not stay any longer. Next, go back and prepare. Tomorrow, the martial arts exam will begin. After the martial arts exam, it will be the time for colleges to recruit students. Please prepare for the exam. Haha, as expected, I passed. This time, I don't have to be punished by the instructor. Fei Chen searched for a long time and found his score. His score was just on the passing line. He was so happy. Okay, Brother Shu, let's go and prepare for tomorrow's martial arts exam. Fei Chen said to Yi Shu. Well, let's go. Brother Shu, I heard that this year's martial arts exam is different from previous years. This year, it is a single-player dungeon exam. Single-player dungeon. Yi Shu was a little surprised. Chen Fei nodded. Well, I also heard from other students that this time the difficulty of the dungeon has 4 difficulty levels, A, B, C, and D. After choosing different difficulty levels, you will get different scores. However, if you cannot pass the level, you will be treated as 0 points. Of course, the most important thing is how many monsters you kill in the dungeon. Each monster has a certain score. The more you kill, the higher the score. This also limits those who want to pass the level by taking shortcuts. The more Chen Fei talked, the more he couldn't stop. Although the A-level dungeon has the highest score, there are 1000 basic points for passing the level, but the monsters in it are also the strongest and the most difficult to pass. It is said that 95% of combat professional students cannot pass the A-level dungeon. The B-level is much simpler, although there are only 600 basic points, but the monsters inside are not that strong. My goal this time is the B-level dungeon. I also want to challenge myself. Quote. As for the C-level, there are 300 basic points. It is said that the monsters inside are not strong either. The pass rate is very high, but relatively speaking, the score that can be obtained in it is also low. Quote. And the D-level is the easiest. Although it only has 100 basic points, the monsters inside are all weak chickens. It is said that as long as it is a combat profession, it can pass the D-level dungeon assessment. If you can kill more monsters in it, you can also get a lot of points. Quote. This dungeon is the best choice for auxiliary professions, and it should be their only choice. Quote. This time, it is estimated that many people will choose C-level, after all, it is the safest. Quote. So, everyone should choose the difficulty of the dungeon according to their own strength. Quote. Yi Shu nodded, and finally said, what about life-related professions? Fei Chen scratched his head and said, it seems that there is no life-related martial arts test this time. In the past, you could form a team, and life-related professions could still get by. Now, it is a single-person test. What should life-related professions do? It is impossible to let them go with a head and scissors. Ah, then life-related professions are really miserable. Yi Shu sighed. On that day, all freshmen received a message. The general meaning was about the various rules of this exam. The content was actually similar to what Chen Fei said. Yi Shu had already made a choice, so there was nothing to hesitate about. One night passed. The next day, the students who took the martial arts exam gathered together again. There were fewer people coming to school today. The school that was crowded yesterday, today, only a few people. These people are all people who have awakened combat professions or auxiliary professions. Qualified for the martial arts exam. Everyone is eager to prove themselves in this trial. Everyone, take your student ID, go to the trial building to get the space stone, and then prepare to enter the big exam copy. Be careful, life-related professions, don't participate in this martial arts exam. This is a single-player martial arts exam, you can't form a team, life-related professions don't have the ability to pass the level, so don't waste resources. Also, don't run around, go to the trial building. Other areas of the school are blocked. When Yi Shu walked into the school, there were already teachers maintaining order, holding a loudspeaker to guide everyone. Yi Shu looked around, didn't see Chen Fei, and the communicator couldn't get through. Perhaps, someone has already arranged it for him, he is the focus of training. Yesterday, as soon as Yi Shu and I left the school gate, we were picked up by a car. However, Yi Shu didn't care, walking alone in the school. Yi Shu followed other students who took the martial arts exam and arrived at the trial building together. That building, although it looks like an ordinary building. But Yi Shu knows that there is an ancient civilization relic sealed inside, which is what everyone calls a dungeon. Inside, there is a small world of its own. Everyone can enter it through the teleportation stone. Now, this ancient civilization relic has long been thoroughly studied by the country. Now, it has completely become a trial site for graduates of the 9th God of War University. The dungeon trial building is open again today, and it is also very lively. Yi Shu lined up in front of the building to get his trial number, teleportation stone and instrument, and then began to wait for the trial site to open. As a hidden profession, he is eligible to receive these things. Although the teacher who issued the teleportation stone and instrument looked at Yi Shu a few more times, he didn't say anything and gave him the things. The trial instrument is like an electronic watch. Every candidate who takes the martial arts exam has such an electronic watch. After entering the dungeon, put this instrument on your hand. It will give each candidate some simple instructions and introduce the various situations in the dungeon. Its main function is actually to record the candidate's monster killing data in the dungeon. Every time a candidate kills a monster, this table will record it, convert it into a corresponding score, and then transmit it to the main brain for unified record. The final martial arts test results all depend on the record of this table. Dear students, the principal of the 9th God of War High School, Huwaidi, appeared again. He stood on the roof of the trial building, wearing a black tang suit, standing with his hands behind his back. Behind him, there were some other people standing, all in suits and leather shoes, and they also looked like senior leaders. After everyone was quiet, Huwaidi said loudly, "I think you all know the rules of this big test, so I won't say much. All I want to say is one thing: do what you can. Choose a trial site that suits you. Choose a high-level trial site, of course you can get more points. But it also comes with danger. Moreover, giving up halfway is considered as a waiver, and if you don't pass the level, all will be treated as 0 points. I think you don't want to come out with 0 points. So, as the saying goes, do what you can. Quote. You don't underestimate this trial, the secret trial, although each of you has a teleportation stone that can teleport you out at a critical moment. But this is not absolute. In the past, many people stayed in the trial copy forever. Don't be too ambitious, be sure to do what you can. Don't bet your life. Quote. After a long speech, another leader stood up and said 2 points. This leader finally finished speaking, and another leader came up and said a few key points. After more than an hour of speech, finally, all the leaders were satisfied, and they all looked at the young students below with a smile. With Huwaidi's big hand waved, the 9th War God High School, the 109th Martial Arts Examination, is now open. Boom! Under the eyes of everyone's expectation, the door of the trial building slowly opened. Finally, the martial arts examination is about to begin. Ding! System task release. Pass the A-level trial assessment. Task reward. Reward a 3-star golden egg and a chance to smash the golden egg. At this moment, a voice came from Yi Shu's mind. The system, which had been silent for a long time, actually released a task at this time. Yi Shu smiled slightly. The task finally came again. This time the task reward is very good, the 3-star golden egg and the chance to smash the golden egg, a set. At this time, countless students began to choose, and one by one began to teleport into the trial field. This choice can be made through the instrument in your hand. Yi Shu took his instrument watch. After putting it on his hand and starting it, he followed the instructions, entered his student number, and then confirmed it with his fingerprint. Ding! Welcome to the trial assistant, I'm happy to serve you. A small transparent man appeared on the instrument. Candidate number 000154, Yi Shu, please choose the difficulty of your trial according to your own ability. Once the choice is completed, it means that you are willing to bear all the consequences of this trial yourself. The man said in a synthesized voice of the instrument. Then, 4 options flashed and appeared. A, B, C, D. Yi Shu chose A without hesitation. When he pressed the OK button, the man said, Candidate number 000154, Yi Shu, select the difficulty of the dungeon, A. Transfer begins. Please wait. Then, the instrument emitted a ray of light, which enveloped Yi Shu. As the teleportation stone in his hand moved, a ray of light enveloped him, and he instantly turned into a stream of light and rushed into the trial dungeon. Chapter 51. Whoosh whoosh. The cold wind howled, and the next moment, Yi Shu appeared in an icy place. It had just landed, and he shuddered with cold. Ding. You randomly enter the A-level copy, Hanwang Dragon Mausoleum. The little man appeared on Yi Shu's watch instrument and introduced Yi Shu. Hanwang Dragon Mausoleum, an ancient relic, a barren land. Legend has it that this is the cemetery of the ancient dragon. Countless adventurers have come here to explore, but none of them survived. This place is full of dangers. Yi Shu looked around. The surroundings were white, with dragon bones everywhere. The dragon bones were faintly shiny. It seemed that even if they had died for millions of years, the bones of these dragons would still exist. The dragons were indeed the strongest creatures in history. Under each dragon bone grew tall unknown weeds with black broad leaves, exuding a faint fragrance. It might be some rare medicinal material. However, Yi Shu was in no mood to identify it. Because, swish, a rustling sound suddenly came from the snow not far away. On the instrument in Yi Shu's hand, the small map also showed small red dots. As expected, it should be a monster that appeared. Come out. As Yi Shu waved his hand. Buzz. In front of him, a huge magic circle opened. Crack. First, the skeleton knight riding on the bone horse rushed out first. 10 skeleton knights. After Yi Shu practiced the skill Skeleton Knight to level 2, the number of skeleton knights he could summon also increased from 3 to 10. Moreover, these skeleton knights in front of him were different from before, they were stronger. Skeleton Knight LV2. Summon. Strength. 500. Agility. 200. Spirit. 200. Endurance. 300. Skill. Bone Spear Piercing. The Skeleton Knight launches a fierce charge, piercing the opponent with a bone spear, ignoring 50% of the target's defense, causing 250% damage. Skill. Bone Spear Throwing. Lock the target, attack the target, throw the bone spear in hand. The bone spear hits 100%, ignores 10% of the target's defense, and causes 200% damage. Now, the Skeleton Knight who has been upgraded to level 2 can be said to be extremely sharp. Of course, this is not over yet, then. Caw caw caw. One by one, the withered bone sword soldiers also walked out of the magic circle. A full 50 withered bone sword soldiers walked out of the magic circle neatly and lined up in front of Yi Shu. Each of them held steel knives, ready for battle. Bone Soldier LV2. Summon. Strength. 200. Agility. 150. Spirit. 130. Endurance. 130. Skill. Bone Heavy Slash. Instantly bursts out 200% strength, slashes the target fiercely. This skill has a 10% chance of critical hit, causing double damage. Skill. Rage. Bone Soldier enters Rage mode, increases 10% attributes, lasts for 10 minutes. These guys have also grown up and are also very powerful. As for the strongest Death Commander, although after upgrading to level 2, it can still only summon one. But it is ridiculously strong. Yi Shu currently has no plan to summon it out, although it can enhance the attributes of Skeleton Knight and Bone Soldier. But Yi Shu knows that his situation in the secret dungeon may be watched by others. The Death Commander is his trump card, and he doesn't want to expose it unless it is necessary. As for Pikachu, he doesn't want to expose it either. Knight, throw the spear. Looking at the red light spot getting closer and closer, Yi Shu gave an order. Swish, swish, swish. With Yi Shu's order, the skeleton knights raised their hands and threw bone spears. Swish, swish, swish. Under a series of attacks, ugly monsters with hunched bodies jumped out of the snow. These monsters are about half a meter tall, hunched, and have 6 legs. 4 legs walk underneath, and the other 2 become arms. The arms with only 2 fingers form a pair of curved claws like a mantis. Swish. Under Yi Shu's identification technique, the attributes of this guy immediately jumped out. Longling Bone Stealer. Level 7. Strength 50. Agility 25. Spirit 20. Skill. Claw Attack. Longling Bone Stealer can use a pair of claws to attack the target, causing 120% attack damage. Introduction. A group of weak monsters that steal dragon bones. Level 7. Weakling. Tisk. I thought it was some powerful monster, but it's just this. I made a fuss and summoned so many little brothers in vain. Yi Shu shook his head, lacking interest, and waved, Go 2 knights, kill these bone stealers. Crack. Soon, 2 skeleton knights came out, riding their white bone war horses, trampling on the snow and rushing out. For the skeleton knights, these longling bone stealers are simply cabbages, they can chop them however they want. Here, Yi Shu is killing fiercely. Outside, someone is already watching him. In the copy monitoring room, under a huge screen, there was a group of people sitting, and the one sitting in the front row was an old man in a tang suit. He was the honorary principal of Shenlong College who had invited Yi Shu before, Li Changli. At this moment, he saw everything about Yi Shu in the dungeon. When powerful undead warriors were summoned by Yi Shu, everyone present took a deep breath. Although they had already received the information, they were still shocked to see it with their own eyes. Ha ha ha, he really chose a dungeon of A-level difficulty, but I believe that this is not difficult for him. At this time, the old man in the tang suit also laughed and said, "Is this a second-rate profession? Xiaohu, although you have made progress over the years, you have made a mistake this time. Such a powerful summoned creature, although I have seen some summoners, there are very few who can summon such a powerful summoned creature." In the seats behind him, there were also many people watching Yi Shu's trial, including Huwaidi, the principal of the 9th God of War College. At this time, Huwaidi's face flushed after hearing what the old man in tang suit said, and he said, This is my carelessness. I paid too much attention to the skills and forgot about the profession itself. I really shouldn't have made a rash judgment on the new hidden profession that appeared for the first time. After that, I also regretted it a little. I felt that I was too arbitrary. If you hadn't given me a message and asked me not to worry about it, I would have wanted to find him in person later. The old man in tang suit shook his head and stared at Yi Shu, who was mobilizing the undead warriors on the screen, and said, "After so many years, you are still as careless as ever. You can't have this problem. I taught you before that you should think twice when encountering things." Huwaidi was ashamed and said, "Teacher, I know." In addition to them, there was a young man in military uniform and several senior leaders in suits who were also watching and whispering. Undead Summoner. One of the leaders in a suit sighed. This is a top hidden profession that has not appeared for a long time. It is also one of the invincible professions when it grows up. Although it is not as good as the Dragon Law Mage, it is not much worse. Could it be that this Death Chanter is a branch of a certain undead summoner? Other leaders also asked in confusion. It is possible. Maybe it is stronger. Among them, the young man in military uniform stared at Yi Shu on the screen without saying a word. After a long time, he sighed in his heart. "Boy, I hope you don't let me down and grow up. In this way, the girl may not have to marry him." If Yi Shu was here, he would definitely recognize that this young man was the one who took Lin Ran away. You killed a level 7 monster and got 70 points. You killed a level 7 monster and got 70 points. You killed a level 7 monster and got 70 points. With the 2 skeleton knights charging, the instrument in Yi Shu's hand kept flashing data. Soon, all the longling bone stealers were dealt with. Yi Shu also got 1350 points. Yi Shu did not use death ingestion on these monster corpses. He knew very well that the situation in the dungeon was being watched by people, and he didn't want people to know the real use of this ability. According to the map guidance of the instrument in his hand, Yi Shu went deeper all the way. Almost all the monsters he encountered were swept away. 10 skeleton knights holding bone spears formed a cavalry square to clear the way in front. 50 bone knives holding steel knives were in the back to support the formation. Yi Shu walked in the middle with a swagger, and was well protected. Others were going through the level alone, and he was like bringing a reinforced company. The group of high-level people in the monitoring room were quite speechless, but they had nothing to say. This is his skill, what can I say? This is the power of the summoner. A powerful summoner, one person, is a legion, this is not just talk. Crossing the vast snow, killing wave after wave of monsters. Yi Shu's score has reached an astonishing height of 5,110. At the same time, he also gained a lot of experience. Although there is still a long way to upgrade, he has accumulated a lot. As long as he keeps accumulating, upgrading is a matter of time. According to the map guidance, Yi Shu entered an underground cave. After entering the underground, it was actually a lot warmer. There are even patches of bushes in the cave. Not long after entering the cave, Yishu found that a flashing red dot appeared on the small map. This is an early warning signal, indicating that there is a leader-level monster inside. Hehe, leader-level monster, I hope you won't let me down. At this moment, Yishu finally raised a little motivation. Along the way, he encountered monsters below level 10. The skeleton knight could sweep away monsters of this type without him having to do anything. Passing through a long cave. Sure enough, deep in the dark and damp underground, a huge humanoid monster stood there. This monster looked like an ancient general. It held a battle axe, wore blood-red armor, and was covered with white bones. This is a dead spirit. It is the same type as his summoned creature. In this world, the dead spirit is actually a relatively rare type of monster. People don't know much about the dead spirit, and it can even be said that they don't know anything about it. Although they have studied it for many years, there are almost no research results. Under Yishu's identification technique, the attributes of this monster appeared in front of him. Skeleton Warrior. Li Lin. Level. Black Iron Leader. Level. 10. Strength. 120. Agility. 95. Spirit. 90. Skills. Rage Slash. Increase attack power by 20%, chop the target, and ignore the target's 15% defense. Introduction. Li Lin was originally an ancient warrior who died in Longling. A long time ago, when he was still a human, he came here to look for dragon eggs in order to become the legendary Dragon Knight, but he died here unexpectedly. Thousands of years have passed, but his heroic spirit has not dispersed, and he eventually became a dead spirit. Now, he has long lost his humanity, and only has the desire to kill. Skeleton Warrior. Yishu groaned, helplessly said, the level is not high, let alone a group fight, he can't beat my skeleton knight in a single fight. Then, Yishu waved his hand. Actually, let's go, let's fight quickly. Crack, crack, crack. Several skeleton knights immediately rushed up on horseback. Crack. The long hair of the skeleton knight pierced the skeleton general, bringing a string of sparks. This guy's bones are also very hard. Roar. The skeleton general woke up with a roar, making a low sound, and the battle axe suddenly raised and swept across. Dang. This time, it was steadily caught by the skeleton knight, and then he knocked the skeleton general down with a backhand punch. The attributes are suppressed too much. The skeleton general has almost no chance of winning. The result was similar to what Yishu expected. After a series of beatings, the skeleton warrior was directly dismantled. Bang! As the skeleton warrior fell to the ground, he actually dropped a piece of equipment. Yishu stepped forward and saw that it was a short staff, only the length of a portable umbrella, made of jasper, with a light blue gem inlaid on the top. It felt warm in the hand. Staff. Yishu was stunned. This is a rare good thing. In this world, mages don't have to use a staff to cast spells. They can also cast spells with bare hands. But, casting spells with bare hands will reduce the efficiency and power of spells by about 20%. So, mages, it's better to have a staff of your own, so that you can exert your greatest strength. But, in this world, staffs are very rare equipment, and junior students are generally not qualified to use them. The production of staffs is very troublesome, and the materials required are extremely precious materials. Especially the magic crystals needed to make a staff, which are almost priceless in this world. Therefore, only mages who have reached level 20 or above are qualified to configure a staff. Even so, they are even more powerful mages. Ordinary mages are not qualified to own a staff. Although monsters can also explode a staff, the probability is frighteningly low. Yishu can explode a staff, which can be said to be favored by the goddess of luck. Every staff that comes out, even the lowest level staff, can often be sold at a sky-high price. The status of mages in this world is actually still very high. There are so many rich people who want to please mages. I'm rich. Yishu picked up the staff and saw the attributes of the staff at a glance under the appraisal spell. Weapon. Jade Staff Bronze. Strength. +1. Agility. +1. Spirit. +10. Additional. Smelting. The user's direct attack spells increase the power by 5%. Tisk. This attribute is really good. Yishu nodded while holding the short staff. When he held the staff, he felt a force in the staff blending into his body. Obviously, This was the amplification given to him by the staff. Then, he held the staff and concentrated his mind. Direct attack spells, well, I'll use exploding fireball. Let me try, Yi Shu thought to himself. Exploding fireball, huh, the fireball instantly appeared on the top of the staff. Sure enough, the efficiency of spellcasting was greatly improved. As he waved the staff, the fireball instantly shot out and landed. Boom, it exploded with a loud bang, and the huge power made the cave tremble. Yi Shu cursed. This is too awesome, is this a staff? Love it. Now, he realized that mages with and without a staff are two different levels. With this staff, his strength can be improved to a higher level. This scene made the people in the monitoring room tremble with fear. What kind of luck did this kid have? He actually got a staff. Moreover, he could even cast a direct attack type of spell. This made everyone more optimistic about him. The mystery of the Death Chanter might be revealed. Ding, you killed a Black Iron level leader and got 500 points. After dealing with the skeleton warrior and easily clearing the first level, Yi Shu followed the instructions of the instrument map in his hand and continued to move forward with his brothers towards the second level. Continue to walk down along the winding and rugged cave. Soon, he came to the entrance of the second level. The second level is a huge underground cave, with dragon bones scattered everywhere. The monster here is a monster called Rock Lizard. Rock Lizard, level 10, Strength 100, Agility 55, Spirit 50, Skill, Spear of the Earth. Rock Lizard draws the power of the earth and launches stone spears to attack the target. Introduction. Rock Lizard is a very common monster. A group of them here live in the cold wasteland dragon mausoleum. They live here. If they absorb enough residual energy from the dragon, they may evolve into the legendary dragon lizard. Rock lizards are monsters that look similar to Komodo dragons, or even bigger. Looking at the rock lizards crawling around in the cave below, Yi Shu waved his hand and said, "Knights, go ahead and clean up these guys." Caw caw caw. Beside Yi Shu, the skeleton knight received the order and rushed out instantly. These rock lizards are a level below the skeleton knights, and are no longer on the same level. Rock lizards can't stop the skeleton knight's steps at all. The skeleton knights crushed them all the way. With the back and forth charge of 10 skeleton knights, dozens of rock lizards were quickly killed. Wherever the skeleton knights' bone spears went, they were almost crushed. Almost every time the skeleton knights attacked, they could take away a rock lizard. You killed a level 10 monster and got 100 points. You killed a level 10 monster and got 100 points. You killed a level 10 monster and got 100 points. Yi Shu stood above the cave, holding the jade staff with his arms around his chest. He didn't need to take action. If he took action to deal with these monsters, it would just be a waste of his mental energy. Now, he just needed to watch. The skeleton knight could handle it completely, and he didn't even need to operate it. Let the skeleton knight play on his own. As the skeleton knight swept across, his points were also rising. In less than 3 minutes, the entire cave was cleaned up by the skeleton knight. Yi Shu gained a lot of experience points and points again. Then, Yi Shu walked down the stone steps of the cave with the withered bone sword soldiers. Soon, he found the leader of this level, a giant rock lizard. Although its attributes were good, it could not stop Yi Shu's skeleton knights. 10 skeleton knights took action, and only a few of them rushed to kill the huge rock lizard. This time, nothing exploded. Although Yi Shu wanted to refine the body of this rock lizard, he still stopped the itch. He didn't want to become a humanoid refining machine. Little ones, let's go to the next level. The leader who solved this level. He didn't stay here for long and continued to move forward. At this moment, in the monitoring room of the big exam, a large group of senior executives looked at Yi Shu's performance with different expressions. Yi Shu's performance surprised them too much. The old man in tang suit Li Chengli said with a proud smile, "This exam A-level copy has no meaning for this kid. I can assert that monsters below level 20 can't stop his pace at all. So, this time in the big exam, if nothing unexpected happens, he should be the first." Li Chengli smiled happily. He was the first to discover Yi Shu's unusualness. The more extraordinary Yi Shu was, the more it showed that his vision was good. At this moment, he was naturally proud. There are no level 20 monsters in this exam. Next to him, a middle-aged man in a suit also felt the same way and said, Mr. Lee is right. This kid, at such a young age, already has this kind of skills. When he grows up, he will be a walking war group. Another senior executive also nodded. Yes, we must train him well. It's rare to have such a good talent. In the future, when we fight monsters, this kid's ability will definitely play a big role. Old man Li Chengli stroked his short beard and laughed. Haha, that being said, don't think about this kid. I have already reserved him and sent out the admission letter. Hehe, Mr. Li, you can't say that. Although your Shenlong Academy is good, my Tianong Academy is not bad either. A man in a suit with a beard laughed. He looked at Li Chengli, not showing any weakness, and said, this kid may not get the focus of training if he goes to your Shenlong Academy, which is full of talents, but it is different in my Tianong Academy. We will definitely train him with all our strength and give him no less resources than you. I think our Zulu Academy also has a chance. A middle-aged man who looks gentle and elegant in a suit also smiled and said, in terms of teaching ability, my Zulu Academy is not inferior to any other academy. Song Qingyan and Zhao Miao, you two guys are deliberately making things difficult for me, right? Li Chengli said with a glare. Song Qingyan, a bearded man, as an admissions officer of Tianong College, smiled and said, no, fair competition, fair competition. As the admissions officer of Zulu Academy, Zhao Miao also said, that's right, everything has to wait for Yishu to come out and let him choose for himself. In terms of identity, they are far behind Li Chengli. This time, in fact, Li Chengli did not come to recruit students, but by chance he saw Yishu. Because he cherishes talent, he came out in person. You two stinky boys, well, in this case, let him come out and choose for himself. I still don't believe that there are students in Dragon Country who can resist Shenlong College. The exam has not yet ended, and the major colleges have already started to compete for people. There is no way, Yishu's performance is too eye-catching. Not to mention the full score in the literary exam, this martial arts exam is almost a foregone conclusion. Naturally, they don't want to let go of such a talent. Shenlong Academy, Tianong Academy, and Zulu Academy are the top 3 academies in Longguo. Although Shenlong Academy is the first in Longguo, the other 2 are not bad. Among them, Zulu Academy has the longest history. A long time ago, when humans just got the means to change jobs, Zulu Academy already existed. As for Tianong Academy and Shenlong Academy, they were both opened after the founding of Longguo. In fact, few people know. The strongest man in Longguo, Emperor Wu Hongtian, is the dean of Shenlong Academy, but he is from Zulu Academy. Zulu Academy has trained a total of 13 emperors from ancient times to the present. Zulu Academy is also the academy with the most emperors in the world. The second is the Vatican Academy in Europe, which has produced 10 emperors. The history of the Vatican Academy is so long that it has always been chasing the Lu Academy. When everyone was fighting for Yishu here, the old face of Huwaidi, who was sitting in the corner, turned red. This kid Yishu was defined by him as a second-class professional. Now, he is a popular person in the eyes of the big shots of the big academy. It really made him feel embarrassed. It has been more than 3 hours since the martial arts students entered the dungeon. In front of the martial arts dungeon trial building. Swish, 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 as the light flashed. Finally, some people began to come out of the dungeon in small groups. Among them, there were also those who failed to pass the level and escaped using the teleportation stone. As time went by, a lot of people had gathered in front of the building. They were all looking at the big screen in front of the building, which showed the ranking of this martial arts exam. The first place is still Yishu. Some candidates who had come out earlier looked at the big screen with disbelief on their faces. When they came out, they saw that the first place was the owner of the hidden profession, Death Chanter, of their 9th God of War High School, Yishu. At first, they thought it was just a coincidence. But as time went by, not only did no one catch up with him, but the points even got bigger and bigger. On the big screen, the names of the top 10 students were particularly eye-catching. First place, Yishu Death Chanter, points, 35,550. Second place, Lin Yiyang Mage, points, 9,520. Third place, Zhao Shanhua, swordsman, points, 9,200. Fourth place, Chen Yanyi, sniper, points, 8,620. Fifth place, Zhou Shanshan, fire spirit mage, points, 8,100. Sixth place, Chen Kun, knight, points, 7,720. Seventh place, Chen Fei, heavy shield warrior, points, 6,500. Eighth place, Wu Junbo, swordsman, points, 5,600. Ninth place, Qin Shuangshuang, musketeer, points, 5,000. 10th place, Huo Yuyan, crazy swordsman, points, 4,570. Countless students looked up at the big screen. Oh my god, the 4 rare professions of our academy are all in the top 10. Of course, the sharpness of rare professions is second only to hidden professions, and rare professions will have a chance to awaken their souls at the third turn. Once the awakening results, it is possible to evolve into hidden professions. This is the most worthwhile place for rare professions to cultivate. Unfortunately, there are so few rare professions. Otherwise, why are they called rare professions? Hey, look, why is Goddess Huo Yuyan ranked so low? I remember that she is one of the few students in our school who can reach the first level of physical strength before awakening, and she is also a rare profession berserker. Logically speaking, her ranking should not be so low, right? You don't know, Goddess Huo seems to be late for something. It's been less than 2 hours since she went in. A student explained. Everyone looked at him. Is it true? In 2 hours, she caught up with the top 10. Why are you lying to you? I saw it with my own eyes. When I escaped from the copy, I happened to meet Goddess Huo going in. Didn't you notice Yi Shu who ranked first? Finally, someone asked this question. Isn't his score a bit outrageous? At this moment, everyone was silent. They just chose to ignore Yi Shu's ranking. Now that it was mentioned, everyone looked at the particularly eye-catching name. They all felt a little complicated. Yi Shu, but he is a hidden profession in our 9th God of War High School. With the results, isn't he a waste? Why is his score so high? This guy is not a waste at all, but a genius. Someone still said this. To be able to reach this score at this time, he must have entered the A-level dungeon, and he played very well. In the A-level dungeon, there are monsters above level 10, and even Lord-level monsters above level 10. This is fatal to us freshmen, and we must have hidden professions to pass. But he got so many points in it, which means that he is doing well in it. Death Chanter, it must be a powerful profession, we have all been deceived. Someone whispered. Who told you that his profession is a useless profession? A hidden profession, or a brand new profession? Can you judge it based on one skill? A student stood up and sneered at Yi Shu, who ranked first. And at this moment, Yi Shu. He is leading his brothers to attack the leader of the last level. It is a bone dragon. In its lifetime, it was a young earth dragon. It died for some reason and was buried in the bone dragon mausoleum. Because its bones were contaminated with the power of the dead, it was resurrected again, but it had lost its power in its lifetime. Otherwise, even if it was a young earth dragon, it would be enough to make Yi Shu drink a pot. The earth dragon is a branch of the pure-blooded dragon, and it is ridiculously strong. It is not comparable to the dragon beast that Yi Shu encountered before. Bone dragon, Holvis, level, silver level leader. Level, 15, strength, 250, agility, 95, spirit, 120. Skill, roar, bone dragon. Holvis roars violently at its target, reducing all attributes of its opponent by 10% for 3 minutes. Skill, flame breath, bone dragon. Holvis spews flames forward, causing magic damage to its target. Introduction. Bone dragon. Holvis was once a pure-blooded earth dragon with powerful dragon blood, but because of the demon attack on Dragon Valley, Holvis died when he was young. After his death, his parents buried him in Dragon Mausoleum. Tens of thousands of years later, his remains were contaminated with dead spirit power and resurrected again, becoming a mindless killing machine. The attributes of this bone dragon are not strong in Yi Shu's opinion. They are similar to the terror pig leader he met in the wilderness before. But that is only for him. This bone dragon, for most freshmen, may be a sure kill. Boom, boom. The skeleton knight was holding the bone dragon back, not because the skeleton knight couldn't beat the bone dragon, but because Yishu wanted to hone his spellcasting skills. So, he was throwing fireballs. Yishu held a short staff in his hand and threw out explosive fireballs one after another, causing the bone dragon to wail and retreat step by step. With a huge explosion, under the bombardment of Yishu's explosive fireballs one after another, the bone dragon Holvis simply couldn't hold on. Soon, its necromancy was completely dispersed by Yishu. Without the support of necromancy, its huge body collapsed and completely scattered, turning into a pile of bones, completely dead. Quote. Congratulations, Candidate 000154, Yishu, you have passed all the martial arts exams of the A-level copy. Next, please use the teleportation stone to leave the copy. The copy will be closed in 3 minutes, please leave as soon as possible. Quote. As Holvis fell, a voice came from Yishu's watch. Is this the A-level copy? It's not that great. Yishu shook his head. Child's play, too much of a joke, this difficulty is not as difficult as his adventure in the wilderness. If he had known that the A-level copy was just like this, he would not have summoned so many brothers. This difficulty only requires 3 skeleton knights to pass the level. As Yishu released the skill, all the skeleton knights and bone pawns slowly disappeared. Then, Yishu took out the teleportation stone and used the teleportation stone. Swish. As the light flashed, Yishu was wrapped in a ray of light and then teleported out. Look, that's Yishu coming out. A student found Yishu, shouted. Everyone looked over. The A-level copy came out so quickly, could it be that he failed? Bullshit, look at his score, it's not reset to 0, if he failed, his score would be reset to 0. He succeeded, and it took so little time. Isn't it said that there are more than 10 level monsters guarding the A-level copy? Could he single out monsters of that level? Obviously, he can. Pervert, our school has a fool. We are in the same class as him, I don't know if it's luck or sadness. Oh my god, this Yishu's martial arts exam score is more than 40,000 points. Who can surpass this score? Is he the top scholar in our city this year? Top scholar, I envy him. It's hard to say. He is not the only one in our city who has a hidden profession. Don't forget, there are also Chen Bin and Zhang Shenxian. Tisk tisk, Night Harvester, Holy Light Mage, Yishu has a rival. That's right, even if he is not a waste, the top scholar may not be his. In the past, he was definitely the top scholar, but this time, it is not certain. Yes, Night Harvester and Holy Light Mage are not new professions. These 2 professions have been thoroughly studied and their growth paths are very clear. Yishu's profession, Death Chanter, is a brand new profession. Everything has to be explored by himself. His growth may not be as fast as those 2. Makes sense. This time the assessment is the same for several major universities. Let's wait and see the final results. As soon as Shu was teleported out, a student discovered him, which immediately caused a lot of discussion. Yishu didn't care about these discussions. In the past, he didn't care because he was not optimistic. Now, he doesn't care even more. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the system task is completed, pass the A-level trial assessment. Task reward. Reward a 3-star golden egg and a chance to smash the golden egg. Yishu looked happy, the system CEFH reward, here it is, this is the good thing he is looking forward to. Tisk. 3-star golden egg, what good things can it give me? This time the reward is very good, and it is not difficult to complete. Yishu really wants to smash it now. Ha ha ha. Just at this time, a hearty laugh came, and then several people came out of the trial building. Yishu put away the idea of smashing the egg now. Good food is not afraid of being late, eat it later. Several people walked towards Yishu in a hurry, and Yishu also walked over. The first one was the one who was recruited before Yishu's Shenlong Academy honorary principal Li Chong. It was him who laughed. He strode over and looked at Yishu. I was right. You didn't disappoint me. Yishu went up to him, smiled, and said, hello, chief. Good. Li Chengli was very happy, stroked his beard, nodded and smiled. Good guy, you should be able to turn around now, it's not easy to get to this point on your own, you are worthy of being the person I like. After greeting Li Chengli, Yishu looked at Hu Whitey, who was following the old man Li Changli, nodded slightly, and said, "Principal." "Yeah," Hu Whitey nodded. "Good boy, when I woke up, I was careless and made a wrong judgment. You won't blame me, right?" Yishu smiled and said, "Principal, you are joking. Everyone makes mistakes. Besides, this has not caused any bad effects on me. Principal, don't worry about it, I'm here to take the exam again." Yishu's words made others nod their heads secretly. This kid not only has outstanding qualifications, but also a good person. "Student Yishu, are you interested in joining my Tian'an College?" At this time, a bearded man in a suit came over and said to Yishu in a low voice. Tian'an College. Yishu's heart trembled slightly. Of course he knew Tian'an College. The top 3 colleges in Longguo have strong teachers, the world's top teaching standards, and huge backup resources. The bearded man looked at Yishu and said with a smile, "Let me introduce myself. I am the admissions teacher of Tian'an College, Song Qingyan, the admissions director of Tian'an College in Yanjing City. How about it? Consider joining our Tian'an College." This, Yishu pondered for a while. Seeing Yishu's attitude, Li Changli, who was as steady as a rock just now, became a little anxious. He could see that Yishu was hesitating, so he immediately said, "Boy, you promised me that you would join Shenlong Academy, you can't go back on your word." "Hehe, classmate Yishu, have you heard of Zulu Academy?" Before Yishu could reply, an elegant middle-aged man looked at Yishu with a friendly smile and said, facing Yishu, a super genius, he didn't care about anything else, even if he offended Li, he would admit it. Zulu Academy. Yishu was a little surprised. He had heard about Zulu Academy a long time ago. Longguo, and even the whole world, is considered the oldest academy. It is said that Zulu Academy has collected a lot of ancient documents. Moreover, Zulu Academy also has the world's oldest secret realm, the ancient ruins. It is said that there are countless good things, equipment, skills, rare props, and even job transfer books. Once, someone got a job transfer book for a hidden profession in the ancient ruins of Zulu Academy and soared to the sky. However, these things can't attract Yishu. With the system in hand, these things are not so attractive to him. On the contrary, Yishu is somewhat interested in the ancient documents of Zulu Academy. If he wants to achieve his ultimate goal, he still needs the help of these documents. Teacher. Thinking of this, Yishu looked up at Song Qingyan and said, "I read in a book that there are the oldest documents in Zulu Academy, which record many unknown secrets of this world. Is it true or not?" Zhao Miao, the admissions teacher of Zulu Academy, said with a serious look, "Indeed, our academy has many ancient documents, but not every student who joins Zulu Academy can read them. Only those who become the true disciples of the academy are qualified to enter the ancient academy to read them." ********. Yishu nodded. "Are you interested in these?" Zhao Miao asked. Yishu nodded and smiled, "Well, it's a personal hobby. Although I can't let you go to the ancient academy," but Zhao Miao smiled and said, "I didn't expect that classmate Yishu was interested in these. What a coincidence. Actually, I am also interested in these. I have also collected a lot of ancient documents, and they are all rare copies. If classmate Yishu agrees to join my Zulu Academy, I can lend them to classmate Yishu for reading." Yishu nodded. "Isn't it just ancient documents?" At this time, Song Qingyan came over and said to Yishu, "Although my Tian'an Academy does not have as long a history as Zulu Academy, we have collected a lot of ancient documents. As long as Yishu is willing to join our Tian'an College, I will personally go to the dean to lend it to you." Tian'an College, although the teachers are strong and the resources behind it are huge. But, Tian'an College was established not very long ago after all. What makes them most unwilling is that although Tian'an College has trained many strong people, it has never taught a strong person at the level of martial emperor. This is also the only pain of Tian'an College. As one of the 3 major colleges in Longguo, Tian'an College is the only college that has never produced a martial emperor. Zulu College is naturally the college with the most martial masters in the world. Shenlong College, which was established at the same time as Tian'an College, has produced 2 martial emperors to date. Level Strongman. Even Hao Hai College, which is several levels lower than Tian'an College, has produced a martial emperor. In the past 100 years, the reputation of Tianong College has been getting lower and lower, just because their college has never produced a martial emperor-level strongman, and the momentum has been suppressed by the two Lingwei colleges. They urgently need to train a martial emperor to prove themselves, so as to restore the reputation of the college. If their Tianong College can train a martial emperor, they can go even further. So, in these years, they have been searching for talents everywhere. Every year when awakening, once a top-level talent appears in Longguo, they will fight for it with all their strength, just to train a martial emperor. Now, Yi Shu's qualifications are here. It can be said that he is both civil and military, and has the qualifications of a martial emperor, so he naturally doesn't want to let go. Facing the invitation from the top 3 colleges in Dragon Country, Yi Shu hesitated for a moment. It's not that he didn't want to choose Shenlong College, he wanted to maximize the benefits. Zhao Miao from Zulu College saw Yi Shu's hesitation. So, he looked at Yi Shu and said directly, "Yi Shu, our Zulu Academy will open the Secret Realm Ancient Battlefield this year, about a month later, when all the outstanding disciples in the academy will participate. This is a secret realm that our Zulu Academy has inherited for many years. There are many opportunities in the ancient battlefield. Originally, there are no new candidates to enter it. According to your strength, you are qualified to enter. If you choose our Zulu Academy, I promise to give you a place to enter it. Isn't it just a secret realm? It's the same as no one else." Song Qingyan also hurriedly said, "Our Tianong Academy does not have as many secret realms as your Zulu Academy, but recently, we have studied an ancient civilization ruins, which is now officially open. There are many powerful potions in it. Unlike the secret realm of your Zulu Academy, which has been opened countless times and mined countless times, our Tianong Academy's ancient civilization ruins secret realm is a brand new secret realm, and there are many things worth exploring in it." At this point, he looked at Yi Shu and said, "Yi Shu, as long as you choose us, I can also give you a place. Not only that, we can also give you a huge subsidy every year." Quote. Ahem. Li Chengli coughed lightly. He glanced at Zhao Miao and the others. Then he also said to Yi Shu, "Isn't it just a secret realm? We have many secret realms in Shenlong Academy. One of the many secret realms of my Shenlong Academy, Dragon's Nest, will also be opened after the enrollment is over. It is the habitat of the ancient dragons. There are many opportunities in it. If you are lucky, you may get a dragon egg. Yi boy, don't you want to get a dragon pet?" Li Li stroked his beard and said, "Dragon eggs." Yi Shu was surprised. This was indeed attractive to him. He had promised Li Xiaoxuan that he would help her find dragons. He was a little moved. "Mr. Li." After hearing this, Zhao Miao smiled and said, "You are exaggerating. Dragon eggs have not been found for thousands of years. In the past, Lord Hong Tian failed to find dragon eggs. If he could get dragon eggs, he would have used them to train dragon masters. I admit that Dragon's Nest is a rare secret place, but I don't believe that you can get dragon eggs." "I mean, it's possible," Li Chengli said. "That was once the habitat of dragons." Watching the top leaders of the 3 colleges arguing over Yi Shu, countless freshmen were stunned. "Did you see it?" "Of course I saw it. Shenlong College, Zulu College, and Tianong College are the top 3 colleges in our Dragon Country. In the past, everyone was scrambling to join them. I have never heard of the 3 of them competing for a student at the same time. This Yi, how strong is Shu's profession? He was able to pass the A-level dungeon assessment in just 4 hours. What do you think? What exactly is the ability of this death chanter? I heard a little rumor about this. Tell me about it." "It is said that it is a hidden profession of the summoner type." "Summoner." "Yes, it is said that it is a very powerful summoned creature." "Summoner, that is a very popular profession. No wonder the 3 major colleges are all interested. It is actually a hidden profession of summoner. Death chanter. Could it be a summoner of the undead type?" "It is possible. If it is a summoner of the undead type, it would be amazing. Rumor has it that the undead summoner is the strongest summoner." Listening to the whispers of countless students around him, Principal Hu Weidi shook his head helplessly. He really miscalculated this time. It seems that he still hasn't practiced enough. Otherwise, he should resign from the position of principal and go to experience more. Hu Weidi thought to himself. The conditions offered by the 3 major colleges are not bad. Yi Shu thought for a while and said, I choose Shenlong College. What a pity. Zhao Miao from Zulu College shook his head helplessly and patted Yi Shu on the shoulder. Student Yi Shu, if you change your mind, feel free to contact me. After that, he handed Yi Shu a business card of his own. Okay, teacher. Yi Shu nodded and took his business card. Zhao Miao smiled and turned to leave. Since Yi Shu did not choose their Zulu college, there was no point for him to stay here. He also had to go and see other good seedlings. Student Yi Shu, don't you want to consider it again? Song Qingdu from Tianong College asked, looking at Shu with some reluctance. He wanted Yi Shu more than anyone else because of his desire for the martial emperor. Their Tianong Academy really needed a martial emperor to keep the place in place. Yi Shu shook his head slightly. Teacher Song, I have thought it through. Ah, Song Qingyun sighed and said, okay, then I won't force you. I also said the same thing. If you change your mind, come to me directly. Yi Shu chose Shenlong Academy. On the one hand, he actually planned to go there a long time ago. Also, he promised Lin Ran. Finally, there is the opening of the secret realm of Dragon's Nest. Although the chances were slim, he wanted to give it a try. What if it worked? After all, he had the assistance of the system. Since the conditions given by the three colleges were similar, Yi Shu would naturally choose Shenlong College, which would be more beneficial to him. The two senior executives of other colleges left. Hu Weidi also left. As the principal, he wanted to see the situation of other candidates in the secret realm. In the end, only Yi Shu, Li Changli and the young man in military uniform were left. Li Changli looked at Yi Shu and smiled. Good boy, you gave me a false alarm. Yi Shu smiled and said nothing. Li Changli continued. Next, you get ready and go to Shenlong College with me. Don't you still have to take the assessment? Yi Shu asked. He knew it a long time ago. Shenlong College's enrollment not only depends on the assessments of various provinces and cities, but also the assessment of Shenlong College itself. Before, the admission letter that Li Changli gave him was just an invitation letter. An invitation letter to take the Shenlong College assessment. After listening to Yi Shu's question, Li Changli shook his head and said with a smile, no need, you kid don't know yet, the top scorers of each base city don't need to be assessed, you are already the top scorer in Yanjing City, just come with me to report. Quote. Before, I gave you the admission letter, but I didn't expect you to achieve this result. Go back and prepare, come with me to Kyoto in a few days. Asterisk asterisk. Yi Shu looked at Li Changli and said, I have something to ask, I don't know if I should ask. Ask. Li Changli nodded. I heard that the students who joined Shenlong Academy will arrange for their families. Yi Shu looked at Li Changli. Li Changli also looked at Yi Shu, and after listening to Yi Shu's words, he smiled faintly and said, are you worried about your grandfather? Afraid that after you leave, your grandfather will have no one to take care of him? He already knew about Yi Shu's situation. Yi Shu nodded. If I don't arrange for my grandfather, I won't leave. If the academy doesn't have this benefit, then I will find a way to arrange for my grandfather myself. Quote. You are loyal and righteous, you are worthy of being someone I value. Li Changli patted Yi Shu on the shoulder. Then he said, don't worry about this, our Shenlong Academy will indeed arrange for the families of students. I have already arranged your affairs. I have arranged an independent villa for you in Tianai district. Let your grandfather move in directly. In the future, even if you are not in Yanjing City, your grandfather's life will be taken care of by someone. Songhai district has a special person in charge of this. Tianai district is protected by the state. I think you should have nothing to worry about, right? Yi Shu nodded. Of course, in this case, I have nothing to worry about. I will arrange for my grandfather and then come to you. Li Changli nodded. Go ahead, contact me when you are done. Yes. After everything was finalized, the young man in military uniform came over and said to Yi Shu, can I delay you for a while? Yi Shu looked at the young man and nodded, okay. Li Changli glanced at them and said, well, in that case, I won't disturb you young people to chat, I'll leave first. After that, Li Changli turned and left. Walk together, the young man asked. Okay, Yi Shu nodded. In the tree-lined avenue on the campus, Yi Shu walked side by side with the young man. I think you already know who I am. The young man spoke first. Yi Shu nodded. Lin Ran's brother, Lin Haofeng, that time, it was you who took Lin Ran away. Lin Haofeng said, and said, I won't ask more about your relationship with Ran Ran. I came here today just to say a few words to you. If you like Ran Ran, you can listen to it. If not, just pretend I didn't say it. Quote. There was a brief silence. Lin Haofeng said, once Ran Ran graduates, she will marry into the Zhang family. Marry into the Zhang family. Yi Shu's heart trembled. He didn't know why he felt very unhappy at this moment. But he could do nothing about it. The Zhang family's position in Longguo was very important. This was not something he could shake. Lin Haofeng nodded. Ranran is a girl who has lacked a sense of security since childhood. If it weren't for you, Ranran would have been in danger that year. Although we have completely solved the future troubles, Ranran still lacks a sense of security. She is 100% vigilant wherever she goes, even at home. Only when she is with you, she will relax. This is why we let Ranran choose the 9th God of War college where you are, and let her stay with you sooner or later. Yi Shu's expression moved. It turned out that all this was not a coincidence. If Ranran and I were just in an ordinary family, I would support any choice she made, but she was born in the Lin family and had no choice. Lin Haofeng looked up at the sky and sighed slightly. Even for me, it's the same. I just married a woman I don't love, but what can I do? In the face of family interests, personal gains and losses are not allowed. Ranran grew up in my eyes. I don't want to see her enter that place, that grave-like place. Once she marries into the Zhang family, she will become a walking corpse in her life. Quote. This is my only selfish desire, the only time I don't want to follow the instructions of the family. Quote. If Ranran awakens a hidden profession this time, maybe the family will change their mind, but she just awakened a rare profession, which is not okay. She can go to Shenlong College, but the Zhang family wants their daughter-in-law to be more outstanding. If you care about her, work hard. When you have enough ability, you may be able to change. Quote. After saying that, without waiting for Yi Shu replied, he straightened his hat and left directly. Yi Shu clenched his fists. Lin Ran, is he just a victim of family interests? I will never let Lin Ran become such a person. Yi Shu left the school without waiting for the exam to be over. Anyway, after the exam is over, the final results will be announced and sent to each student. Besides, Yi Shu can't wait here all the time for the longest 24 hours of the exam. After leaving school, Yi Shu walked alone on the street. Yi Shu thought a lot, and most of all, about Lin Ran. Thinking of the scenes with Lin Ran over the years, Yi Shu clenched his fists. Lin Ran was the girl he admired the most, although he never confessed to Lin Ran. After a long time, Yi Shu said in his heart, Lin Ran, there is no one in this world who can force you to do something you don't want to do. Not even the Zhang family. Wait, when I grow up to be strong enough, I will definitely pull you out of this family vortex. You still have 4 years before you get married. In these 4 years, I must grow up to the point where I can have an equal dialogue with those families. Let you have the right to choose freely. After that, Yi Shu planned to go back first and then arrange things for his grandfather. Tianai district has already arranged everything. Yi Shu only needed to take his grandfather there. There will be someone there to receive him. Once his grandfather moved into Tianai district, Yi Shu would be completely relieved. When Yi Shu walked to the parking lot outside the school, not far from where he parked his bumblebee, he found that there were many students surrounding his bumblebee. They were chattering around the bumblebee. Wow, Lamborghini FF 4396, it's so beautiful. A girl's voice came. Don't squeeze me, if I really bump into it, I can't afford to sell it. A boy shouted, although they all knew that even if they hit the car with a brick, it might not break a little, but the value of the car still made them dare not get too close. Tisk tisk, this outline, this shape, if I can have one, I'll live 10 years less. Someone sighed. This is a super sports car that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to buy, 10 years. You can't even think about it in 100 years. Is it not enough to talk about it? Come on, let me take a photo, and then post it on WeChat Moments to show off. Wait, I want one too. I want one too. Many men and women surrounded the bumblebee and it can be seen that they all like it. This car is indeed fatally attractive to young people who have just graduated from high school. Because they are all classmates, Yishu did not interfere with them. He just stood aside and waited for them to finish taking pictures. Hey, look, it's Yishu. A good-looking girl found Yishu. Really, he's a strong contender for the top spot in our class. That's right, he got full marks in the liberal arts exam, and his martial arts exam is far better than others. I heard that the 3 major colleges are vying for him. Oh, it's so annoying to compare yourself to others. I may not even be able to get into a second-rate university, but he's being vying for by the 3 major colleges. I wish I had such a good talent. Quote. And he's handsome. There are also little girls who are crazy about him. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. Don't even think about it. You don't know how close he is to Lin Ran. Maybe they've already been in that kind of relationship. Yishu shook his head helplessly. Being too famous is not a good thing. There are all kinds of rumors. He scratched his head and planned to leave. Humph. Just then, a cold snort came. What if he did well in the exam? There are many people like him in the 3 major colleges. Without a backer, he is nothing. It's Zhang Muhao. Only he dares to say that. Bullshit, I think he is jealous of others. Don't you know that Zhang Muhao has only awakened an auxiliary profession, which is a far cry from Yishu's hidden profession? Haha, this is the truth. However, Zhang Muhao does have the capital to be arrogant. His father is worth more than 1 billion. Zhang Muhao, who had not been seen for a long time, walked out of the crowd. Listening to other people's discussions, his face was not very good. He walked directly in front of Yishu, looked at Yishu, and whispered, Yishu. I haven't settled the score with you for interrupting my good deeds last time. That time, Director Wang's words scared him so much that he hid at home for half a month and didn't dare to come out. In the end, although his father investigated everywhere, he didn't find out anything about Lin Ran's background. After half a month, Zhang Muhao was fine and no one bothered him. Then, he came out again. In the end, he thought that Lin Ran must not be a person with a background, and Director Wang was just scaring him. However, in the end, Lin Ran awakened a rare profession and was taken away, so he had no chance at all. When Yishu awakened a hidden profession, he was still scared, but in the end, he heard that it was a waste profession, so he was relieved. After that, he was busy upgrading, so he didn't bother Yishu for the time being. Now, he got the chance. Originally, with Yishu's current performance, he shouldn't have come to cause trouble. But, just yesterday, his uncle who had been hunting in the blue zone for 3 years came back. Not only did he bring back a lot of prey. In addition, his uncle also reached level 35 and became a martial spirit level strongman. This time, he has the capital to show his strength again. Hee. Yishu smiled and looked at Zhang Muhao. Settle the score. How to settle? Challenge me alone. Do you dare? Zhang Muhao looked at Yishu. Don't be so proud. Yishu looked at him and just said, get lost, since you don't want to do it, then don't block the road. Yishu naturally didn't have a good face for Zhang Muhao. This person harassed Lin Ran before. That time, he even wanted to move. 0.012106524 Filu 120,243,261. If it weren't for the school, Yishu would have attacked him and crippled him long ago. It would have been fine if he didn't show up, but now he dares to jump in front of Yishu. What are you so arrogant about? Yishu's straightforward words made Zhang Muhao's face change, and he looked at Yishu. The last matter is not over. Get lost. Yishu looked at him suddenly. You. Zhang Muhao was frightened by Yishu's momentum and took a step back. He gritted his teeth, and then, he seemed to remember something, and sneered, let you be arrogant for a while, I see how long you can be proud. After that, he took out a key and pressed it. Ding. In the parking lot, not far from him, a dark red BMW sports car flashed its lights. Wow, Porsche, a girl exclaimed softly. Famous car. The landing price of this car seems to be 3 million. It's worthy of being the top rich second generation in our school. I'm jealous. Zhang Muhao looked proud, because he had been talking to his father for a long time before his father agreed to buy it for him. Zhang Muhao glanced at Yishu and said contemptuously, country dog, there are some things that you can't envy. Country dog. Yi Shu curled his lips. Well, you have a clear understanding of yourself. You. Zhang Muhao gritted his teeth and looked at Yi Shu, then smiled coldly and said, I envy you, there is nothing to be ashamed of. After all, a poor dog like you can't afford such a car in this life. For me, it is just one of the countless cars in my life. Quote. Stupid. Yi Shu didn't even bother to look at him. He felt very embarrassed to argue with such a person here. Yi Shu walked directly to the bumblebee. Ha ha ha. Watching Yi Shu walk towards the only and most luxurious Lamborghini FF 4396 in the entire parking lot, Zhang Muhao laughed and said, You don't mean to say that the Lamborghini FF 4396 is yours, right? Yi Shu looked back at him. Do you have any objections? This can't really be Yi Shu's. A student whispered. How is it possible? A student shook his head and said, Don't you know Yi Shu's family conditions? When he grows up, he may be able to afford it. After all, he is now a popular figure in the eyes of major top colleges and the best competitor for the top scorer. According to his talent, he can only say that he has a promising future, but now, it is unrealistic. Quote. This student's opinion is actually quite fair. That's right, other students also agreed. Listening to the discussions of other students, although Zhang Muhao was very unhappy, he also sneered, Poor dog, don't pretend there, how about this, you kneel down and kowtow to me, and I will lend you my Porsche for 2 days. Idiot, Yi Shu still said this. Then he walked directly to the front of the Lamborghini FF 4396, took out the key and pressed it, activated it, and spoke, Open the door, Bumblebee. Haha, Bumblebee, why don't you call? Ding, Zhang Muhao hadn't finished speaking. There was only a slight sound, and then, click. The car door opened automatically. Under the astonished eyes of everyone, Yi Shu opened the door and sat. Go home. Click. After closing the door, Yi Shu said. Okay, master. Bumblebee responded mechanically. Buzz. Bumblebee started, and then directly reversed out of the parking space. When passing by Zhang Muhao, Yi Shu opened the car window, looked at Zhang Muhao who was shocked, and said, If you are willing to kneel down and recognize me as your grandfather, I'd better forget this car. I don't have an unfilial descendant like you. Bumblebee, go home. Yes, master. Buzz. With a light buzz, the bumblebee disappeared from everyone's sight. Only Zhang Muhao, whose face turned red and white, was left. And a group of stunned students. Looking at the direction where Yi Shu disappeared, Zhang Muhao said viciously, You forced me to do this. I must get back at this grudge. When Yi Shu returned home and explained the situation to his grandfather. What? Yi Yuanshan was stunned. Shu, what did you say? Are we going to live in Tianai district? Well, Grandpa, you don't have to live here anymore. I have joined Shenlong College. This is also a benefit given to me by Shenlong College. Yi Shu sat next to Yi Yuanshan's wheelchair and said, Grandpa, please pack up. We will go to the new home tomorrow morning. Shenlong College. My grandson has entered Shenlong College. Have you seen the ancestors of the Yi family? My Yi family has finally produced someone who can bring honor to the family. Yi Yuanshan couldn't control himself at all, tears rolled in his eyes. For so many years, he has worked hard for this family for so many years. In order to raise Yi Shu, he has suffered a lot. But now, everything is worth it. A night passed. The next day, early in the morning, the grandfather and grandson were busy packing things. Yi Shu packed a big box of things, looked at his grandfather in the inner room, and shouted. Grandpa, do you have anything else to take? Soon, I'll pack it soon. Grandpa sat in a fully automatic wheelchair to pack things, and it can be seen that he was also very excited. Yi Shu put all the things that Grandpa had packed into his own portable storage space. Some more fragile and precious things were packed up and carried by himself. When everything was packed, Yi Shu held a box and pushed Grandpa out of the door. Grandpa Yi, where are you going so early in the morning? Shu, are you taking your grandpa for morning exercise? Many familiar friends and neighbors in the same community greeted Shu curiously when he pushed Grandpa past. Haha, my son Shu has entered Shenlong College, and we, grandparents, are moving to Tianai district. Yi Yuanshan answered confidently, I'll have a housewarming party later, you guys have to come. These people who have lived in low-rent housing that never sees the sun for so many years, who doesn't look forward to turning things around one day. Now, Yi Yuenshin has completely turned things around. It's all thanks to his grandson. Yi Yuenshin was also smiling, very happy, she had made it through, and could live out her days in peace. He was actually more proud of his grandson. Shenlong College. Every year, only a few people in each base city are eligible to join. Who is not the best among the best who enter Shenlong College for further studies? Now, Yi Shu has taken this step, how can Yi Yuenshin not be proud? Have you heard that Yi Yuenshin's grandson, Yi Shu, was admitted to Shenlong College? Is it true? How can it be false? The grandfather and grandson are moving to Tianai district. If you don't believe it, go and see. Grandpa Yi's grandson is really amazing. He was admitted to Shenlong College. You don't know yet. I heard from my son that the sports car parked in our community is worth tens of millions. That car belongs to Yi Shu. I saw him driving in and out several times. I heard from my granddaughter that Yi Shu seemed to have awakened to an amazing career and seemed to have been received by many leaders. Could it be that some big shot saw Yi Shu's talent and bought it for him? I don't know about that. In short, Yi Shu has made progress. Old man Yi is amazing. An old man in his twilight years can actually bring out such a talent. If my grandson can be so amazing one day, I will die with a smile. It's a pity that the unpromising boy knows how to play video games all day long. An old man shook his head. Our community has finally produced a talent. That's right. Neighbors spread the news. Soon, the entire suburban area, and even other low-rent housing communities around, knew that Yi Shu, the grandson of Yi Yuenshin from the suburban area, had been admitted to Shenlong College. This matter became a hot topic within a day. Yi Yuenshin and his grandson had bid farewell to this slum and were preparing to move to Tianai district. This was a great event, which gave hope to many teenagers from ordinary families living in this slum. They all secretly vowed to study hard, find a good career in the future, get admitted to a good university, and make their families proud. Grandpa Yi, take care. Take care. Grandpa Yi, goodbye. Goodbye, bye. Soon, under the gaze and farewell of a large number of women, children, and men in the neighborhood, Yi Shu and his grandson got on the sports car, and with the roar of the sports car, they soon drove out of the community. Yi Shu and his grandson left the suburban area, listening to his grandfather's favorite opera. Bumblebee drove all the way to Tianai district. At the sentry post at the main entrance of Tianai district, soldiers with real guns and live ammunition stood. Standing straight in the sentry post, they looked around and dared to attack any suspicious person who dared to approach. Tianai district is a place where trespassing is strictly prohibited. Stop. Yi Shu's car just drove to the gate of Tianai district. Among them, two soldiers immediately raised their assault rifles, pointed the muzzles at the Bumblebee who was coming over, and raised one hand to indicate that this place cannot be trespassed, which is also the last warning. If you dare to cross the danger zone, they will shoot. In the past, someone attacked Tianai district, causing the death of family members in Tianai district. This incident made the top leaders of the country furious. After that, the protection of Tianai district was directly upgraded to several levels. There is a full company of troops stationed in Tianai district. In addition, there are strong men guarding. No one dares to mess around here. The soldiers stationed and patrolling here are all real guns and bullets, and they have the right to shoot. Once you cross the warning line, they will shoot. You must know that the people living here are either the families of soldiers with outstanding military achievements or the families of people who have contributed to the country. They cannot have any accidents. Only when they are safe can those people feel at ease to contribute to the country without worries. Crack. Under the warning of the two soldiers. Bumblebee, stop the car. Following Yi Shu's command. With an emergency brake, Bumblebee stopped. Shoo. Yi Yuenshin was still a little nervous when he saw the postures of these soldiers. Yi Shu smiled and said, "Grandpa, please wait in the car, I will go down to negotiate, it will be done soon." Click. The car door was opened. Yi Shu also got out of the car. "Don't trespass here." A soldier glanced at Yi Shu. "Leave quickly." Wait a moment. Yi Shu was about to take out the communicator to make a call. Wait a moment. A middle-aged officer in military uniform came out of the community guard duty room, carefully examined Yi Shu, and said, "Put down your guns, this is a new resident in our community." "Yes." Click. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the two soldiers put away their guns and retreated to the sentry post. "You are Yi Shu that Mr. Li told you about, right?" The officer looked at Shu and said. Yi Shu nodded and said, "It's me." Quote, speaking of this, Yi Shu took out his ID card. The officer took a look and nodded. "No problem, Mr. Li has already explained it. I didn't expect you to come so soon. The notice was sent to me yesterday. You can go in." Speaking of this, the soldier took out a bunch of keys and a certificate from his personal space and handed them to Yi Shu, saying, "Your tenants are in villa number 99, Xiao Li, you take them there." A soldier came out of the duty room and said, "Yes." "Thank you," Yi Shu nodded. "Go ahead. If you don't understand something, Xiao Li will tell you." "Okay." Then, Yi Shu took the officer back to the car. Then, Yi Shu started manual driving and drove the bumblebee into the community. Along the way, Yi Shu looked at the small bridges and flowing water, rockery and ponds around him, and the single-family villas surrounded by small bridges and flowing water. "I couldn't help but sigh. From today on, my home is here." Yi Shu turned his head to look at Yi Yuanshan. Li said hello. Yi Yuanshan looked outside. At this moment, even he was excited to look at this community. Yi Shu smiled. He finally did something for his grandfather. He felt relieved that his grandfather lived here. Soon, under the guidance of the soldier, Yi Shu came to his villa. This is a villa with a good location, beautiful scenery and fresh air. There is also a bamboo garden not far away. Grandpa can go to the bamboo garden to sit when he is free. Generally speaking, Yi Shu is very satisfied with this place. "Yi Mr. Shu, this is your home." The soldier held a document and said to Yi Shu, "This villa number 99 will be your home in the future. This villa has 3 floors, a basement, and a super large terrace on the 3rd floor, with a total area of 600 square meters. The basic furniture has been purchased and installed. If you have your own opinions on the decoration style, you can also design it yourself. If you want to start the decoration, please do not find outsiders, please contact the person in charge of the community. Outsiders are not allowed to enter the community." The soldier told Yi Shu about some of the requirements of the community. Then he left. Yi Shu and his grandfather looked at each other. He looked up at the large and luxurious villa in front of him again, and felt a little emotional. This is their future home. After a long time of hard work, Yi Shu finally packed up everything. Grandpa's bedroom was arranged on the 1st floor. After all, Grandpa was in a wheelchair, and it was convenient for him to go in and out on the 1st floor. Yi Shu lived on the 2nd floor. That night, Yi Shu returned to his room after dinner. Grandpa went out for a walk in a fully automatic wheelchair. In the huge bedroom, Yi Shu lay on the bed, looking outside through the French window. In the room, the Thunder Beast, Pikachu, was flying around. "Open the system." A 3-star golden egg appeared on the system page. "There is another chance to smash the golden egg." "Ha, what good things can I get this time?" Yi Shu looked at the 3-star golden egg on the system page, took a deep breath, and smashed it directly. Ka! As the golden egg broke. Inside was a piece of clothing, a short-sleeved shirt like a t-shirt. The black short-sleeved shirt had no other color. "Congratulations to the host, you smashed a 3-star golden egg and got the reward equipment Ultra Dark Vestment." Equipment. Yi Shu was stunned. Swish. The next moment, the black clothes fell into Yi Shu's hands. It was a little cold, but it felt very comfortable. "Let me see your attributes." Under the identification technique, Yi Shu saw its attributes. Ultra Dark Vestments, medium grade gold. 573, strength, plus 50. Agility, plus 50. Spirit, plus 70. Required level, 10. Additional skills. Extreme darkness. No consumption, block an area, let the area enter an absolute dark state, everyone in the area will completely lose the 5 senses, lasting 10 seconds. Additional skills. Aurora Guardian. No consumption, enter the invincible state for 15 seconds, immune to any damage during the invincible period, skill cooldown for 1 hour. Holding this ordinary-looking short-sleeved shirt, Yi was quite surprised. It turned out to be a gold device. Gold devices on the market are all worth hundreds of millions of dragon coins, and they are still in short supply. Just because gold devices are too rare, professionals below level 50 are not worthy of equipping gold devices. Unless it is a hidden profession, and only hidden professions can be an exception, otherwise, the capital behind them is huge enough. Yi Shu had seen a pair of gold items for sale in the hidden mall of Jufu before. It was a pair of shoes, priced at 170 million dragon coins. It was so expensive. That was a low-grade gold item. If it was a medium-grade one, the value would be doubled. Moreover, you couldn't just buy it if you wanted to. You needed Jufu's consumption points to buy it. Every 100 yuan of dragon coins spent at Jufu would get 1 point. You needed 10 million points to buy that pair of shoes, otherwise you could only look at it. Even with Yi Shu's net worth, it was prohibitive. To put it bluntly, that pair of shoes was just used by Jufu to stimulate consumption. However, having said that, Yi Shu's file Ultra Dark Robe is indeed top-notch. Especially, it also comes with an invincible skill. 15 seconds of invincibility may not seem long, but sometimes it can do a lot of things. Often, equipment with invincible skills is more precious. Invincibility is a life-saving ability at critical moments. Hey, it's actually a gold device. I finally didn't let you down. This is too cool. I actually have a gold device so soon. Yi Shu was also very happy to get such a treasure. Yi Shu took off his original clothes and put on this short-sleeved shirt. This is a close-fitting piece of clothing. No one will notice it when you wear it inside. When he put on this ultra-dark robe, the clothes actually shrank automatically and changed to the size that suits him best. Wearing it on his body, he felt a cool feeling, and the original heat disappeared instantly. This thing actually has the effect of automatically adjusting the temperature. It is indeed a gold device. It is awesome. Then, Yi Shu felt a faint warm current coming out of this ultra-dark robe and flowing into his body. Then, Yi Shu clearly felt that he had become much stronger again. This was the power that the equipment brought him. The next day, early in the morning, Yi Shu prepared to go to school to take another look. Today, the results should also be announced. He just walked out of the villa. He met someone, Li Changli. Chief. Yi Shu saw Li Changli and walked up to greet him. He still respected this person. From a distance, Li Changli saw Yi Shu, strode over and said with a smile, "Boy, how are you used to living here? I heard that you moved here yesterday. I was very busy yesterday and didn't come to see you. You won't blame me, right?" Yi Shu nodded and said with a smile, "It's okay to live here. Although I'm not used to it yet, I will get used to it slowly. It's the chief who is busy with affairs. How can I blame him?" "That's good." Li Changli patted Yi Shu on the shoulder and said, "Don't call me the chief all the time. I'm about the same age as your grandfather. If you don't mind, just call me Grandpa Li." "Grandpa Li." Yi Shu nodded. Of course he knew that Li Changli wanted to win him over, and he didn't refuse Li Changli's kindness. "Okay, are you going to school?" Li Changli smiled and looked at Yi Shu. "Yeah." Yi Shu nodded and said, "I think the results should be out today. I want to go and see." "No need to see." Li Changli said. "The results are out." "Already out?" Yi Shu was surprised. He didn't receive the news. Li Changli nodded. "It just came out not long ago. The last student just came out, and the results haven't been issued yet. The top scorer in Yanjing City is you." Li Changli seemed very happy. Yi Shu breathed a sigh of relief. His heart was calm. This result was neither unexpected nor unexpected for Yi Shu. Looking at Yi Shu's expression, Li Changli nodded secretly and patted Yi Shu on the shoulder. "Take me to see your grandfather. Tomorrow, you will go to Kyoto with me, and the next time you come back maybe half a year later." "Okay." Yi Shu nodded. This day finally came. Shu, what is this?" Yi Shu took Li Changli into the villa, and just then his grandfather came out of the room in a wheelchair. He looked at Li Changli and asked in confusion. Yi Shu walked up and introduced to his grandfather Yi Yuanshan. "Grandpa, this is the honorary principal of Shenlong College, Mr. Li, whom I told you about." "Mr. Li, this is my grandfather." It turned out to be the chief. Yi Yuanshan was shocked and said to Li Changli, "Leader, come in quickly. This child is so careless that he doesn't even know to invite you in, don't mind it." "Old brother, you're welcome." Li Chengli walked over and said to Yi Yuenshin, "Old brother, you are not convenient for your legs and feet, don't be polite, I came here today just to see if you and your grandson are used to living here." Used to it, chief, please come in quickly, you have a great favor to Shu, and you are a noble person in our Yi family, how can we neglect it? Yi Yuenshin said hurriedly. Old brother, you can't say that, Yi Shu is such an excellent child, and you have cultivated him well. That night, Yi Shu spent a lot of money to treat guests at a luxurious 5-star hotel in Yanjing City. He treated many people to a farewell dinner. Chen Yanyi, Chen Fei and other well-known friends of Yi Shu were among them. As long as he had a good impression of the classmates, he contacted them this time. It was also a celebration for him to win the top prize in Yanjing City. That night, Yi Shu talked a lot with them and drank a lot of wine. After this separation, they all went to different colleges to study, and they didn't know when they would meet again. Although Yi Shu was reluctant to leave them, there was no way, Shenlong College was not for everyone. They didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the Shenlong College entrance examination. This time, they drank a lot. They didn't leave until late at night. Yi Shu was drunk, and he fulfilled his promise to Chen Yanyi and took her for a ride. Bumblebee whizzed past, shuttling through the roads of Yanjing City. The next day, Yi Shu was already preparing to go to Kyoto Shenlong Academy. At 8 o'clock in the morning, at the gate of Tianai District. Shu, take good care of yourself when you get to Kyoto. The temperature there is low, so remember to dress warmly, Yi Yuenshin said, holding Yi Shu's hand. Don't worry, Grandpa, I will take good care of myself. Yi Shu smiled slightly and squatted beside his grandfather to reassure him. This was also the first time he had walked out of Yanjing City and left his grandfather in all these years. In fact, he was reluctant to leave his grandfather. But, sooner or later, the eagle will spread its wings and fly, and it is impossible to stay in the nest forever. He must take this step. When you get there, study hard and listen to your teacher. Chief Li said that you are very talented. Don't waste your talent. If there is anything, remember to contact Grandpa and come back early during the holidays. Listening to his grandfather's repeated instructions, Yi Shu's eyes were a little moist. Old brother, don't worry, Yi Shu will go there, I will take care of him. Finally, even Li Chengli spoke to comfort Yi Yuenshin. He knew that Yi Yuenshin couldn't bear to leave this grandson. Principal, classmate Yi Shu, we have to hurry up, the plane is about to take off, and we will miss the flight if we are late. In the distance, Li Chengli's assistant, a woman named Chu Xiaoyu, shouted. Here we come, Li Chengli responded, then patted Yi Shu on the shoulder, let's go. Yi Shu touched the broad hand of his grandfather who was sitting in the wheelchair, then stood up and stared at his grandfather. Grandpa, I have already told the person in charge of the community that they will hire someone to take care of you. I will pay for it. You don't have to worry about it. I am not at home. You have to take good care of yourself. If there is any expense, don't save it. There is money in the card I left for you. Yi Shu waved and said goodbye to the driver. Don't worry, Grandpa has been here all his life, can't he take care of himself? Go, Yi Yuenshin nodded seriously. Yi Shu put the bumblebee into his storage space, then turned around and stepped onto the car driven by Li Chengli's assistant. Soon, Yi Shu and his party arrived at the airport. From a distance, Yi Shu saw that a giant passenger plane was parked at the airport. Li Chengli had already arranged all the matters for this trip, so Yi Shu didn't need to worry at all, just follow them. There was only one giant flying saucer-shaped passenger plane in the entire airport. After Yi Shu and his party got off the car, they walked along the aisle and directly entered the passenger plane. Mr. Li, the top-class cabin has been arranged according to your requirements. When Yi Shu and his party boarded the plane, a stewardess came forward and smiled. Yes. Li Chengli nodded slightly, waved at Yi Shu, and then took him and his assistant Chu Xiaoyu along the stairs to the top floor. Speaking of which, it was Yi Shu's first time to take such a large passenger plane, so he was inevitably a little curious. Like most people who took such a passenger plane for the first time, Yi Shu watched curiously. The interior of the entire passenger plane looked very dreamy. Because the passenger plane was in the shape of a flying saucer, the cabins inside were divided into the top, middle and bottom floors. The top floor was the first-class cabin, and Yishu and his friends were sitting in the most luxurious first-class cabin on the top floor. Not long after Yishu and his friends entered the first-class cabin on the top floor and sat down. With the low sound of the engine starting, the flying passenger plane was about to take off. Yishu looked outside through the window on the plane, feeling a little emotional in his heart that he was finally leaving. As the plane slowly took off, Yishu lowered the curtains and sat firmly. In the open space in the center of the cabin, a movie that had just been released recently and was quite famous began to be shown. It was played with 3D virtual projection technology, and it was extremely realistic. Yishu, if you want to watch a movie, put on your headphones. If you don't want to watch it, take a rest. In more than 3 hours, we will be in Kyoto. Chu Xiaoyu, who was sitting opposite Yishu, saw Yishu looking curiously, and said to Yishu with a smile. Li Chengli had put on his eye mask and laid his seat flat, starting the car. Yeah, I got it. Yishu nodded. About 3 hours later, the passenger plane landed at Kyoto Airport. After Yishu and the other two left the airport, there was already a special car waiting for them. After leaving the airport, they got on the special car directly. A stretched red flag sedan went to Shenlong College, the first college in Longguo. Sitting in the car, looking out through the window, seeing the scenes outside, Yishu was amazed. Crossing the long cement road, Yishu saw one side of Kyoto. The buildings of Kyoto are very beautiful. The architectural style is exactly the same as the ancient Chinese architecture in Yishu's memory, his hometown, with pavilions and towers everywhere. There are very few high-rise buildings. The whole Kyoto is like an ancient city, instead of a modern big city. It's just that the modern vehicles shuttling back and forth tell Yishu that this is not ancient times. In less than half an hour, Yishu and the others arrived at their destination, Shenlong College. Creaky. The vehicle stopped. Yishu and the other two got out of the car. We're here, let's go in. Yishu looked around, and found that the Shenlong Academy was actually a huge palace. A grand gate was built in front of the palace. The 4 characters Shenlong Academy on the gate were written in a dragon-like and phoenix-like style, which was very impressive. Through the gate, Yishu saw the palace behind. The huge palace stretched for hundreds of miles and covered an area that was frighteningly large. Let's go. Under the leadership of Li Chengli, Yishu followed him into the spacious gate of Shenlong Academy. As soon as he entered the gate, Yishu saw a giant dragon sculpture at first sight. It was a giant 5-clawed golden dragon nearly 100 meters high. This 5-clawed golden dragon was hovering on a pillar. After entering the door, Yishu saw the golden dragon at a glance, and looked up along the hovering golden dragon. The dragon head looked down, and a pair of huge dragon eyes just stared straight at Yishu. In an instant, the endless and overwhelming aura instantly oppressed Yishu, making him feel suffocated at this moment, and his face turned pale. Yishu recovered. He looked at the golden dragon and whispered, "What an overwhelming momentum. Haha, the first time I saw a golden dragon, I reacted within a minute, ha ha ha, Ni's vision is really good." At the beginning, even Yan Nanwei was not so fast. Li Chengli looked at Yishu and laughed.